Faith Properties in Utica. I always get asked, why do I love real estate? It's very simple. I love my clients. I love every single thing about helping them find or sell their home. Making sure the home is solid and ready for sale, or solid and ready for the buyer's inspection, to making sure that they're getting the best rate on their mortgage, making sure they're getting the best price on their house. You know, just everything involved in the sale is vital. My absolute favorite part of real estate is when a buyer walks into the house they're going to buy. I can feel it before they even know they're loving the house. It's just that obvious. So I'd love to experience that feeling with you. So give me a call. Adeline Van Dyke, Coldwell Banker Faith Properties, 315-404-6431. Or you can find me on Facebook or visit my website at centralnewyork.com/Adeline. Thank you, and I look forward to welcoming you home.
When it's your hard-earned money on the line that you are investing into a home, it makes sense to choose a proven professional to assist you in making one of the biggest investments you may ever make. Josh's dedication of over 20 years to the home construction industry allows him to bring knowledge and experience to your doorstep. That means you can feel confident and comfortable with his service to you. Past clients love his attention to detail and thorough written reports. By allowing Priceless Inspections to help you make a well-informed decision concerning your property, you will find that a quality inspection is priceless. Follow Priceless Inspections on Facebook or call 315-525-8725. In the Mohawk Valley, for the best real estate service, you gotta have faith. Coldwell Banker Faith Properties, 315-735-2222 or www.centralnyhomes.com.
Welcome to the D-Line.
Illegal contact! Number 51! Senkutsu elbow thrust! To the up back! Oimawatsu roundhouse lunge kick! To the quarterback! Takatami insword block to the... Shoot, never mind. 15 yards! First down!
Live football podcast on the Disruption Network.
You just got the feeling that he spelled the 8-hole and then got it in the end zone.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football.
And now, here's your hosts, Chicken, Caleb, and Sil.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Welcome to the D-Line. Let me get this camera here going.
All right.
There we are. Hey.
Sweet.
Starting to get used to this. So Caleb will not be joining us today.
Crying shame.
Yeah, he is stuck in Boston, I believe he said. He's stuck in Boston with the bad weather. He couldn't fly back in.
Mm-hmm.
So today we have Sean Gaffney over here joining us in his place.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
On?
Doing great. You guys doing good?
Doing
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Could be doing better.
We're not stuck. we're not stuck in Boston, I guess. That's,
And
that's
another
a
voice
plus.
you hear is our man Greg Williams,
What's up?
the Patriots fan.
Yes, sir.
But
Damn it.
yeah, great Super Bowl. But before we get into all that, I just want to introduce everybody. Sean, do you want to mention you got the Crazy Fools and everything coming up? Any gigs you want to plug before we get going?
Yeah, we're doing an event at Delta Lake Inn out in Rome on the first Saturday in March 3rd. Jameson night. So it's a good time. Yeah, check it out. Go on to Delta Lake Inn's Facebook page or their website. They'll have a whole bunch of details for you. Basically, the idea of it is a full-blown, delicious dinner, a whole bunch of stations set up with great food. We'll be playing music all night. We're going to be throwing in some Irish songs and some of our songs and some classic rock. We're going to have a good time. We've done it the last 2 years, and it's a great time. So check it out, Delta Lake Inn, March 3rd.
Nice.
Cool.
It's the same day as the Heart
Sounds
Walk.
fun.
Yeah, same day as the Heart Walk. I usually do the Heart Walk in the morning and then pack up all my gear, head over to Delta Lake. It's a long day, but, man, is it a fun day, I'll tell you.
Those are always the best. The ones that, it's like, I got a lot ahead of me, but I don't care. It's going to be great.
Yep.
I love doing the Heart Walk. It's one thing we do every year in the wintertime. It's like one of our only winter activities that we do, and we usually start up over at Sil's house, and we do a little breakfast pregame. And he lives about a half mile from the school. So we go over there and pregame it up, walk over to the school, and then do the walk, and then go back to his house, eat some pizza, and sober up. And
Last year was freezing. It was freezing last
my
year.
face hurt
There's
so
been a
bad.
lot-
The
lot
rim
of
of my
cold
cup
years.
had ice all around the rim of the cup. It was pretty cold.
I was stuck in Florida, unfortunately. I wasn't able to do it. But before we get started, I wish Caleb was here because I wanted to present this.
Ah, that's awesome. That's totally going up on the wall. I can't wait.
What's that from the Disruption anniversary party?
That's
Yes.
hilarious.
That
As
is
you can
nice.
notice, he's taking a Duke. And,
That is nice.
yeah, we were. Caleb wanted to take a picture of.
Totally fucking framed it. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, our guy Dave Bowers, he put in a frame for us. He was the photographer at the party, and you know, it's funny. Caleb wanted to do a picture of the D line. We're like, all right, cool. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let's do one for Silver taking a shit, you know. And I didn't think he was gonna go for it. I was kind of just like half-ass like joking, and he's like, no, let's do it. I'm like, oh, good thing he was drunk.
Right.
So we all go piling into the bathroom. Greg was at the urinal. And he's like, what the hell are you guys doing? He's seen us all in there with like a cameraman. He's like, what the fuck?
What's about to go down?
And he's like, I'm sticking around for this. So then we go in there and somebody's in the urinal. Or in the stall. We're like, oh shit, somebody's in the stall. And so we're waiting around outside, and the guy comes out of the stall, and it was our buddy Eric Leo. And he's like, the hell are you guys doing? And we're all dying laughing, right? So he's like, I'm sticking around to see this. So now we got like 10, 15 guys in the bathroom, and we're all sitting around still like, you know, he sold out, man. Like, he went underwear and all, like, dropped trowel and went on the shitter.
Hell, he looks like he's enjoying the company.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by a bunch of dudes with his pants down. Of
Right,
course he's
right.
happy.
College.
But yeah, we took the picture, and then you know, everybody's in the bathroom laughing hysterically, and we come walking out, 10, 15 guys all laughing hysterically, walking out of the men's room with a photographer. So everyone's looking at us like, what the hell did you guys just do? So yeah, it was great, and we're gonna use it. We're gonna put it up on the wall here. I didn't want to put it up before I presented it to you guys.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's nice.
Unfortunately, Caleb wasn't here, but you know,
Can't wait forever.
no.
Can't stop progress.
You should make that an annual
Very
tradition.
progressive right there.
Every year at the anniversry party, take the same picture.
Yeah.
You know? Put them all up on the
I'm
wall.
just gonna hold it here in front of me instead of like. But I think it just like signifies our show like perfectly.
Yep.
You know, dirty toilet humor.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
But yeah, I just want to get it out there for you guys. But man, something happened over the weekend, right? Like we had a game or something.
The greatest. It was such a good game.
It
really was.
It was a good game. I can't say it wasn't.
Amazing
It was a good
game.
Back and forth.
There's been some amazing Super Bowls, but that one was, I mean, just the shootout
It was
that
just
it was.
absolutely a shootout. It surprised me. I didn't think it was
Close
gonna
game. Came right down to the wire.
Who in a million years would have guessed that Brady throws for 500 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The Patriots didn't even punt once, and they lose the game. I never would have imagined.
I believe there's
like that
one
ever
punt the
happening.
entire game, right?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia punted once, and that
Right.
was it.
That's unheard of.
And there wasn't even a lot of turnovers either.
And,
I mean,
and that fourth and one call on the other fucking 40 by Philly.
Yeah.
That was fucking
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
That was ballsy.
Both
Yeah.
fourth down calls.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running a fourth down play at the goal line,
Right.
against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots in the fucking Super Bowl, and you run a trick play where you pass to your quarterback.
Right.
Your backup quarterback.
They stole that
nonetheless.
from the Bears, by the way. No, I know. He ran it in high school.
They just ran, and he ran it like 3 seconds, like about a minute earlier for New England.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I thought the play was amazing. Like
Yeah.
to make that call against a guy like Bill Belichick, you know what I mean? Like that's ballsy.
it was, yeah, that was some brass balls right there.
Brass.
That's the first thing I said after that was, wow, that, you know, that showed some serious balls in the Super Bowl.
I'm just that was a John Madden play.
And that 4th and 5, like you were talking about too.
Yeah, on the no, just the fact that it's fourth down on the other side of the 50, on not on the fucking opponent's side, you're running a play on the Super Bowl. Holy shit!
Without blinking an eye.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
He
no
just said,
timeout.
We're
Let's
going
go.
for it.
Yep.
And then they get it. And it's just like
And what a play by Ertz to catch that ball
Yeah.
too and hold on to it.
Yeah.
Because
But
I don't know if you remember how that play looked when he caught it like right at the line, and it probably would have been a first down anyway. But he reaches over just about a half a yard and is just holding the ball out there for a second. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know if you want to do that. That thing could just get knocked out any second, and that's the end of the game pretty much. You know, I mean, give Brady the ball back with a lead at that point. I don't think the Eagles win that game.
No, that's a huge play.
Right.
And then if they punt, okay, and I guess I kind of see where his theory is, why he didn't blink an eye, because their defense wasn't holding for shit. Like, there was no defense in this game.
You're giving the ball back to the guy who's so far got 480 some odd yards on you right now at this point.
And
you know,
6
it's like,
championships.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to go for it.
It was a smart move and just one of the ballsiest things. So at that point, Philly fucking deserved to win. Just by making it. I mean, when you hit us up on the camera, just to start the fourth quarter, and I said I think Philly's got it. Why? Because it's a fucking close game. I felt
you did
Philly,
say that in the when we went Facebook Live.
Yeah.
You did say that going in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I thought you were crazy because like I would rather keep the pedal to the metal and just bury them, but they played New England's game.
They absolutely
really did.
And I think that's key of why they won, because they played exactly like we play. They were gutsy on their calls. They slung the ball around. You know, they went for short stuff, but they went for deep stuff. And they played all 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't.
They kept that intensity up. A lead.
Yeah.
That intensity tends to come down.
Yeah. What and good point, still, because look at last year's Super Bowl.
Exactly.
The Falcons are up 23 points, and all of a sudden, instead of doing what they should have done and you know, got conservative at that point, they were throwing the ball and basically just handed New England.
And they ran the ball.
They kept us reacting.
They smashed mouth ran the ball.
They were too predictable is kind of what I'm getting at, which is exactly what Doug Peterson and his staff was not at this this year. But yeah, what a game. And
because who would have thought a trick play? Nobody.
Right, I didn't
have that pegged at all. And I'm sure that defense was like, what the fuck did just happen?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You hit. Wait a minute, was that me?
No, that was me.
and what a nice throw. Was it Trey Burton that made that throw too? I mean, not that it was, you know, he was wide open. Foles was wide open.
Yeah.
So
you could have thrown it within 5
still,
yards.
You're a tight end though, and you're throwing to a quarterback. I mean,
tight end running. The tight end was still running when he threw that.
He was, and you know.
But as wide as he was
easy throw,
open,
but
you could have thrown it short.
On that stage with that pressure, you know, props to him for making the throw and succeeding in a trick play like that on the biggest stage in the football world.
I love the guts. I really do.
Yeah.
And like when I said to you, I go, I'm waiting for that perfectly timed Jim Schwartz blitz. And I'm like, if it's going to happen, I remember I kept saying strip sack. There's going to be a strip sack.
Yeah, you did say.
And then when they came through, and that's
when the game's on the line, when it's most important, that's when it comes.
And you look at when New England played Jacksonville, they got all the way down there and they had that one defensive play to really seal the game, and that's all you needed from this defense was to come up big at this time. And it was perfect. Yeah, I mean, I know not for you. The look on Greg's face.
Perfect.
Oh, dude, when that happened,
my God!
I immediately, when their defender got up with the ball like instantaneously, like it just transmission from his hand to his hand, I was like, we just lost the game. Right then,
I mean, you only gave up 3 points at that time, and
that's
still
losing, that was losing the game.
Yeah,
that was losing the game.
Right,
we were going down to score, and then Foyles was going to have to come back and score on us.
They had plenty of time to get down there and score some points to.
We were going down to score. They were going to have to come back on us.
And I kept saying too, you know, I was over at my watching the game with my family and my parents, and I've watched a lot of Super Bowls over at that house, and we've seen a lot of Patriots Super Bowl championships, and it's in like again last year I thought Falcons got this, but this year never once. You know, first half when Philly was up by a decent amount, couple scores, there was never one thought in my head that Philly's going to win this game.
Me neither.
And then Patriots creep back into it, and I just kept saying, I've seen this story before. I know how this one's going to end. So I'm a Bills fan, and so
you're used to losing.
I'm used to losing, so I just kind of figured, all right, well, I obviously don't want the Patriots to win. I'm a Bills fan, and I've seen this story a billion times, and I know what's going to happen here. And then when that strip sack happened, I think my jaw must have hit the floor.
Mine did. Mine went wide open.
Because I can't believe this is going on. Like,
internally thinking the same thing.
This is what Greg said.
All you got to do is say earmuffs to him. Earmuffs. They can say fuck, shit, bitch, whatever you want. Cock, balls.
He was like, everything that you look at his face, he just wanted to swear every word he could, but he couldn't form any kind
because I was slowly cheering and smiling like, yep, here it comes. He's open.
Yeah.
Strip sack. Game over.
The look on your face.
It was quick too.
Yeah, it just game over. I was like, what?
At least it wasn't Chris Long that did it. I mean,
yeah,
well,
right.
that was the only good part.
When you brought up the game from last year, I was just the opposite. When you go to halftime, I'm like, New England's going to win this. I'm like, you're going to see the most epic comeback because it's Brady, and you're going against the Falcons, who are historically a shit team. I mean, they're a team that like drops the ball in a big game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like the Vikings.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We
like
were
the
on our
Vikings.
way. We were on our way
The
for the epic comeback.
And in this game with the Eagles, once Brady started coming back and they started like moving them back and scoring and stuff, I'm like, oh man, here we go. But then I'm like, the Eagles came right back down and hit Ertz, and for that touchdown, I'm like, these guys aren't afraid.
Right.
They're not backpedaling. They're not in their head. And it was great because, like I said, this is a Belichick-esque team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The way they built a team, the way they constructed it, the way they conduct themselves is very Bill Belichick. You take Brady out of that team, right, and like you put in Matt Castle. What does Matt Castle do? He comes in, he wins 10 games for you.
Right.
And you're like, how the fuck does this happen? Because he's got such a system where I feel like Philly is bringing that system here. And I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Philly in the Super Bowl. I think they got at least one or two more in them. And I think this team's like definitely moving in the right place.
Oh, they're built to win. They just won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built to win, and Peterson has proved himself despite, like we were talking about before we came on air. I forget the writer's name, but criticizing him when he was hired.
Mike Lombardi.
Mike
Lombardi, yeah. They ripped.
He was the worst possible hire.
Kelsey ripped him in the speech,
as he should. Mike Lombardi deserves some criticism and some ripping for that. But yeah, they are set up to be a powerhouse for years to come, and
they're open to offers for Foles. I'm reading today.
Yeah, it only makes sense.
Fucking crazy because Wentz isn't going to be ready in the beginning of the year.
Right. Like
he tore his ACL and LCL.
Yeah.
ACL and LCL.
So part of his bread and butter is half gone. He was a really mobile quarterback. He could take off on you. Now it's going to be like, how much are you going to want to do that now?
Yeah, but nowadays, I mean, Adrian Peterson
had
ACL, and then he came back and rushed for 2,000 yards. It's not so much the injury of death anymore for these NFL players. It's not like back in the day when Gale Sears tore his up, he's done. You know what I mean?
Now it's a 10-month injury,
but you do bring up a good point. It could be also be in his head too.
Yeah.
He might not want to take off and run because of that injury and preserve himself. But Foles, where's he go? Like, who's going to trade up to get Foles?
Buffalo,
Denver,
Buffalo.
What they got to offer?
That's none of your business.
A lot of draft picks. But the Bills have a lot of draft picks. They have 2 first-rounders, which I wouldn't advocate trading a first for them, but I'd be okay with the Bills giving a second-round pick for Foles. For one thing, he's still only 29 years old. I mean, it feels like the guy's been around forever with all the teams he's kind of bounced around. Started with Philly and where'd he go? St. Louis. I think it was still the Rams
Arizona.
At that point.
Oh no, did he go to Arizona? I thought he went to Arizona. For
the
a
Chiefs too. He also went to
Arizona's
the
a possibility too.
Yeah, Arizona is another team, and that it does kind of put Philly in a tough spot at the beginning of the year if they want to trade Foles, but he's only under contract for 1 more year. He's making, I believe, $7 million, which is pennies for a starting quarterback.
Yep, and Philly could easily hang on to both, and it wouldn't matter. So that's why I'm like, I take that with a grain of salt that they're considering it.
But
I don't really think they are.
It could be a trade after season starts, like they did with Brad.
They could do it mid-season, right after Wentz comes back. All right.
Oh yeah, like
trade
what the
offers.
Patriots did with Garoppolo. You wait till about the trade deadline, and best offer, and Foles is yours.
I remember Sam Bradford was supposed to be the quarterback last year, and then they traded him right after the season start. As soon as
he's a free agent, right, Bradford?
Is he?
I
Is
don't
he
know.
still going to play?
I don't know.
I mean, those are like two backups right there. I mean, Casey and what's his name here? Foles. And I think both those guys, I think Minnesota's got to hang on to Casey. But I think like if the Browns are going to give you a first for Foles, and I don't think that's a stupid idea for the Browns, because
they'd have to trade down, I think, from 4 to do something like that. I don't think Foles is worth like the 4th overall pick. Who knows with the Browns, but
the dude just won you a Super Bowl. He just won a Super Bowl, and he was dropping dimes.
And he looked really good doing it.
And
I'm not going to
against
lie,
the
he looked really
Vikings
good
too. The best defense in decades statistically.
Yeah, and he shredded them,
crushed them.
And he had 4 touchdowns against New England.
Yeah.
And how many yards? 400-something yards against.
Yeah, 3 passing and 1 receiving.
He looked like a starting quarterback.
They didn't hide him at all. They
Right.
didn't. You know what I mean? They went out there and he balled out. And so if you're a team like the Browns, who wasted first-round pick after first-round pick on these maybes, and you're destroying these guys' careers.
Browns are also a choice too.
You know what I mean?
It's like there's 6 teams. I don't think Jacksonville's going to be one of them, though.
No, probably not. You're better
article.
off sticking with who you got right there now, Bortles. But like if you with the Browns, think about it. You bring in a veteran quarterback who's actually decent, instead of like getting another Tim Couch or another Johnny Football and all these other guys.
Kaiser. And the list. We could go. We'd fill the rest of the show if we kept talking about Browns quarterbacks.
Exactly my point. So get a true veteran. Like I was hoping they'd go after like an Alex Smith or something, but then you got Tyrod Taylor might be out there.
Cousins too.
Cousins is going to be another.
Big free agency.
I think you're going to see something happen there.
Yeah, Minnesota. The Redskins are thinking about tagging him.
Why would you do that?
Just so teams would have to give them draft picks to sign him.
And I think you're going to see something come draft day. I think draft day is when they're going to deal out Cousins. I think they're going to hold him. And you might even see something with Foles. And honestly, like Foles, I would hold him out through the season unless you're going to get a really good offer.
Right. I'd hang on to him.
Hang on to him. Yep. And then like we said with the Sam Bradford deal, you know what I mean? Like then you might want to look at, who goes down, with injury or whatever. I know.
I'm glad you said with injury.
I had to say with injury.
Well, if Bradford is healthy too, that's another option for Philly. If he's a free agent, which I believe he is you sign Sam Bradford back. He knows the system, and he plays the first 4 games of the year until Wentz is ready to go, and then you get your 1st or 2nd round pick for Foles. Who knows? I mean, it's quite the quarterback carousel we're going to be looking at here in the next couple months. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And then you got a crop of rookies coming up, but like a lot of these veterans, I mean, they're good veteran quarterbacks that are out there on the market. And you're right, like with Arizona, Arizona definitely should get into the mix here. And I think they're
more apt to go after the veteran quarterbacks.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think Denver too. I think Denver's in the veteran quarterback.
Yeah, with the fucking GM there, John Elway, I don't think he's going to want to own up to his bad quarterback decisions over the past season. So I think going after drafting a rookie is going to basically him succumbing to that and owning up to it, where I don't think he will, but getting somebody in free agency.
Yeah, and look what they've done before with Paxton Lynch drafting him. He was a first-rounder, right? Like late first-round pick, I think. So, and he just turned out to be garbage.
But who's his mentor? You know what I mean? Like who's
John Elway? I don't know.
Yeah, right? I think they're going the free agency route. I mean, there's only 2 out there, and maybe 2, between Foles and they'd have to come up with a good offer.
Cousins, and then you got
Tyrod Taylor.
He's a free agent?
He's not, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills caught him at this point.
They're pretty much trying to move on.
He's due some bonus money in March, so that's
like
about a month from now is kind of the date to keep an eye on.
There's like a 3-day window or something.
Here's the thing. What about the Titans? Like Marcus Mariota.
He's their future.
Do you think so? I don't know. Like I don't think he.
I do. Longwood's going to rip me a new one.
He did win the playoff game this year,
but
I mean, not that he. I mean, he played okay. He played good. He caught that touchdown pass from himself.
Yeah, I think though you bring a guy like Tyrod Taylor in there, I think that's a whole new ball game down there. I think Tyrod Taylor's more skilled than Mariota.
I don't see it. I really don't.
I lost internet access.
But I think Mariota shows signs of being a franchise quarterback. Has he proved it? No, but he just won a playoff game in Kansas City, and it's good experience and good one to throw on the resume going forward, and hopefully a confidence builder for him. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Speaking of quarterbacks, what about freaking Garoppolo?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, he's a rich man.
5 years.
Very rich
What'd
man.
you say? 130 something million?
I think
135 million.
$135
Guaranteed 74.
The highest paid quarterback player in the league right now. The guy played 5 games.
Yeah, he's making more than Brady is right now. His mentor.
Well, 7 total, right?
27.5 million annual salary. It's a 5-year deal. Is the highest in NFL history. So
$27 million a year.
Insane.
Sling some.
Can we say Brock Osweiler?
Going back to Kirk Cousins a little bit, too, what do you think he says if he's a full-blown free agent and the Redskins don't franchise him now? He sees that Garoppolo deal and says, this guy's played 9 games. I want more than that.
Yeah, I'm a proven quarterback.
I want more than what Garoppolo got.
Yeah.
Or do you go to a team, that's going to pay you a little bit of money, but a team that's, like, competitive? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to go to...
It's a good point there.
Well, Denver could be. I mean, their defense is still...
They got a stout defense, yes.
Demaryius Thomas, still a good player. They got Emmanuel Sanders. And, again, I haven't done the research to know who is free
Well, then what are you doing here?
I'm doing research. What do you think I brought my
You're
computer,
supposed to be our fantasy expert today. You took over for Caleb. We rely on him on for the nerd shit.
Fantasy football free agency doesn't matter, Matt.
See, I like, my feeling, I like to put Kirk Cousins over in up at the Giants. Over at the Giants, but I highly doubt that'll happen.
That would be interesting, though, if he said, you know what, I want to play the Redskins 2 times a year and show them that they were wrong.
But then, you give him, Odell Beckham, you give him, Evan Ingram, you give him, Sterling Shepard, and then you go out and use that first-round pick on a running back, and then you go through free agency and, beef up your line. Now your line doesn't have to hold as much as they do against with Eli, because Eli is immobile. I mean, he looks like a freaking giraffe when he's trying to run.
Right.
If they figure out their quarterback situation,
he did have some good moves
draft.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. If they figure out their quarterback deal before the draft, if they know if Eli is coming back, or if they sign somebody like Cousins and go in a different direction, then they could pick like Saquon Barkley 2nd overall.
Because how long do you think Eli really has? Even
he doesn't have much longer.
I mean, he's been healthy, which is surprising.
Ben McAdoo didn't help his case
No,
any.
definitely not. But I just think we can put a more mobile quarterback behind that line. They don't have to hold on. You can bootleg. Then you bring in like a stud, like you said, that Barkley kid. Who is a nice fast running back. Maybe they could use him more in a passing game.
I think
like
mobile quarterbacks is where their NFL should be going right now. I mean, because there's not too many elite pocket passers still left.
Right.
And an elite quarterback, or a mobile quarterback, is harder to defend against.
Right.
You always got to keep somebody spying them or somebody on them, which opens up passing lanes and stuff like that.
And that's what I was saying with the Eagles. I'm like, why isn't Foles taking off? There's plenty of times he could have took off running and got maybe 3, 4, 5 yards, maybe 10 yards.
Right.
But what it does, like you said, brings the DBs in a little bit more.
Freezes some guys.
Exactly. Now they got to keep that in mind that he might run.
Right.
Yeah, they like you said, even if it's not a traditional pocket passer statue type. I mean, Nick Foles, I wouldn't say is the most limber, athletic guy around, but he can still move a little bit.
He can.
That
threat's still there.
The threat is still there. Alex Smith is another one. He can run for 15, 20 yards when he has to.
Alex Smith is surprisingly fast.
But the Drew Bledsoes of the world and those type of guys, that's the old
Carson Palmer.
Palmer. That's the old era. Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, even.
Yep.
I mean, that's.
You have to be deadly accurate if you're one of those guys.
You have to be.
You have to be elite.
Like Mike Glennon.
No, you have to be Brady.
Hot lunch. Yeah, Glennon was terrible. He couldn't run to save his life. But you have to be deadly accurate, and you got to be able to have a quick release if you're going to be one of those immobile quarterbacks.
You have to be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Eli Manning, 10 years ago.
And this is when people talk about elite quarterbacks, right? And they always want to throw Eli in there because he won 2 championships. And I'm like, but Eli didn't win those championships for him. That defense was stellar.
was killing.
And it wasn't until they got Ahmad Bradshaw playing, and then once he played against the Bills and he lit it up against the Bills, I'm like, oh, this is dangerous now because now they got a running game, and the kid was a monster, and I love the way that kid played. He played violently.
They had actually Bradshaw and Jacobs at one. Yeah.
Yep. And so they had a backfield now, so that helped Eli, with his, with the passing game as well. But like one thing that I talk about when you want to be an elite quarterback, to me, it's like Brady's down. Halftime Super Bowl last year, 23 was 23-3,
something like that, yeah.
And you knew that
28-3.
28-3.
Yeah.
Sorry, you knew damn well you still had a chance because you got Tom Brady at the helm, just like you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Drew Brees.
Yep.
Those are guys. I'm throwing Russell Wilson, who is now going to be a Yankee,
the newest New York Yankee.
I'll throw him in that mix. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be one of those guys. Those guys that at any point in time that you can come back. Peyton Manning was, if you had Peyton Manning on your team, you had a chance to win.
Right, you were never out of it.
Brett Favre, those guys are elite.
That sense of worry never kicks in.
No,
it doesn't fuck with your psyche.
It does if you're playing against you.
Right. Yeah.
Come on.
He's still around.
Well, look at Drew Brees in the game against the Vikings
Right.
too. I mean, they were down pretty big in that game, and Drew Brees led them back. And if it wasn't for some ridiculous fluky play,
which won play of the year, I don't even fucking know how, because I thought it was just regular season, but somehow, with 2 weeks left, apparently voting was still open for play of the year.
Oh, they need to go back and revote and have Nick Foles' touchdown catch to be play of the year, I think, if playoffs count.
Yeah, I just, with Eli, though, I never got that sense.
Me neither.
I never got the sense that you're
Never been an
still in
Eli
the ball
fan.
game
Yeah.
with Eli there.
Nope.
It was always...
He needed the elite receivers around him.
Absolutely.
He needed
People
them.
forget about the receivers that he
Yeah.
had. I mean, back when they won, you had Akeem Hicks.
A lot of the catches that they made were bad passes that they just went up and got.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, look at David Tyree catching the football on his helmet there to win the Super
Odell
Bowl.
Beckham, how many one-handed grabs that were out of bounds,
Right.
way out of bounds that he grabbed.
And
you know?
before him, Cruz.
Yeah.
Cruz
Right.
was grabbing crazy passes.
Who just dropped off the face of the fucking earth.
Well, he got a ton of injuries, and
Wasn't he with the Bears?
Yeah,
He was, but
off season
didn't make it, and then he went. I don't. Did he get picked up by somebody else?
No, he actually turned an analysis.
Analyst?
Analyst.
Analyst?
Yeah, I forgot what.
John, aren't you an analyst?
He's an ass manager.
System analyst.
A system.
I guess if you fist fuck me, we'll be even.
But yeah, I never I'm surprised he didn't get picked up, Cruz, though.
I am too,
because he had that experience.
It's funny you say that. As a Bills fan, right in the middle of the year, right before they traded for Kelvin Benjamin, their receiver core was just decimated. Jordan Matthews was always hurt.
No, you're walking by it for Deontay Thompson.
Deontay Thompson was,
which I don't.
He ended up being their best receiver. He was great.
I like the kid.
I did too. It was really weird. He was the only one willing to go get the
when
fucking
I saw
ball.
Cruz was caught, I kind of thought, maybe the Bills should give him, take a flyer on Victor Cruz, and what do you got to lose at that point? And
right.
I don't know. Something must not be right with his health still. He would have got picked up by somebody, Or he was asking for too much money. Who knows? Maybe he still thinks he's a superstar receiver and wants too much. But
I don't know. I thought he still had something to give. On that Bears wide receiver core, they were terrible and there were no experience.
Right.
He could walk right in and probably be at least number
excel.
1 or 2.
I expected him to excel, and no, they didn't see it.
It was more PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Word.
Nerd humor.
Stupid.
I was looking for the nerds one.
Stupid.
I can't find it.
It's on the first one, I believe.
Yeah, I'm on there, but fuck it. It's not on there. Anyways, I'm surprised by him. I thought he would have at least made the team. But Deontay Thompson, I don't understand why they got rid of him. Halfway through the year, you got no wide receivers. He's the only one that with speed and could catch the ball. They get rid of him, and then he ends up going to Buffalo and had the game of his life. He had 130 yards. And
no, first game.
Yeah.
First game, 104 yards, I believe. off the top of my head.
Yeah, that sounds right. 104, 110, something like that. Yeah.
104, 107, whatever it takes.
And
we'll say 107. We'll meet in the middle.
And he's a special teams contributor. I mean, he returned kicks and punts. And,
yeah, right.
You know, he was on the coverage. I don't understand why they
good pick up Buffalo. That's all I gotta say. Good job.
And Buffalo was one of those teams that everybody was kind of just counting out. That they're all canceled. You know, trash the season. You know, go for
did enough to get in.
And you know what? They made it to the playoffs.
It was that Chargers game when they put Peterman in, I think, is kind of when everybody just said, they threw up the white flag, and that's it.
But before that, when Anquan
Evil
Bolden
Peterman
retired,
Anquan Bolden retired.
They
in
lost
the preseason,
Watkins and Woods and, you know, like all these guys. And you're like, oh, my God. They just, all right, well, they're done. They ain't going to, you know, survive. And then they came back. And because Tyrod Taylor is a fucking gamer, they're able to stay in these games.
Shady McCoy, too.
And Shady McCoy
throw him some credit.
Is awesome. But how long does he got? You know what I mean? Like, who are you grooming behind him?
He's got another year or two tops, I'd say. Yeah, Mike Tolbert.
Right. I would rather get a guy in there now, get a young stud running back in there now to play under McCoy, you know what I mean, and develop him so you don't have to rely on the rookie. You got a seasoned vet who's a stud.
Yeah, they need to draft somebody to kind of be groomed as the running back of the future behind McCoy. And they've had a few of those guys. McCoy's been there for, I think, 3 years now. And they've had a couple decent young running backs behind him. Carlos Williams one year. I don't know if you remember Carlos Williams. He was kind of a one-year wonder. I don't know if he got in trouble off the field or what, but they cut him after his rookie year. He was great. I mean, he was, you know, power running back, perfect complement to McCoy. You throw him in at the 5-yard line. If you play fantasy football, he'd drive you nuts if you had LaShawn McCoy, but, you know, good power running back, and then Mike Gillislee. They had Mike Gillislee for a year or two.
He's at New England, right?
And he went to New England, and he played the first 4 or 5 weeks, and, you know, a goal line running back again, scored a few touchdowns. And then Deion Lewis got healthy again, and they basically benched him for the rest of the year.
Wow.
So.
And you know, like, Buffalo has a tendency of letting go running backs, and then they get good, like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. Well, he was good with the Bills, too. But he got in too much trouble.
He wasn't beast mode.
He was running. He was. That's where beast mode came from, was Buffalo.
And McGahee.
Yeah.
Travis Henry.
It's debatable. Travis Henry was very good with the Bills, but he, again, all these
with
guys
Baltimore.
had problems off the field. Lynch was running people over in Buffalo, running pedestrians over. Yeah, literally. I'm not talking about football players. I'm talking about little old ladies crossing the street. So he kind of ran out of chances, and they kind of figured, you know, this guy is one incident away from being suspended or banned from the league, so we better just trade him. And I think they got like a 3rd-round pick for him. He goes and wins the Super Bowl with Seattle.
Dave Bandage said Fred Jackson was one of his favorite.
Fred Jackson, awesome running back for Buffalo. Yeah, he's going to be up on their Wall of Fame someday. Fred Jackson was Mr. Buffalo for many years.
I'm glad that they got away from Spiller. I just think he was fool's gold. I think.
Yeah, he was. He was. And he went to Kansas City. He didn't do anything.
How about
I think he was with the Saints too for a while.
Ted Ginn Jr. recreating his career.
Yeah.
Like, this guy had hands like feet.
Right.
I mean, he caught the ball like freaking.
Is that whiskey?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it is.
He caught the ball like Brady. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like everything fell out of his
he got the ball like Brady.
On time for that, right?
And now he goes and he killed it with Carolina. He was playing awesome with Carolina when Benjamin went down.
Himself in Carolina, kind of reinvented himself.
And now he's down there in New Orleans, and he's catching everything. Herpes, AIDS, whatever. Like, he's got it all.
That's what happens in New Orleans, right?
But, like, I mean, he was only known as a kick returner. He was, you know, Desmond Howard of today. And now he's over there, and he's actually a good wide receiver. And it's kind of interesting to see him, like, develop.
Drew Brees, you know.
Again. But he did it before in Carolina. With
Cam Newton's a pretty decent passer, too.
Cam Newton's decent.
I think he kind of gets a bad rap a little bit. But, you know, he brought his team to the Super Bowl.
He's so damn arrogant.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
That's what it is.
It's not his
I hate
play
him because
on the
he's a
field.
good player.
Yeah.
But he's such a damn asshole.
Like, I want to like him because of the way he plays, but then, like, when you see him crying on you know,
and giving up on his
dumb
team.
comments and trying to be funny and cute, and you're like, dude, I'm like,
some of the stuff he wears too to these press conferences, it's like he's just I think he's trying to get people to talk about him or something.
Right, like him and Jameis Winston should
looking
just
for
fight
attention.
each other to the death.
I mean, he's got the dab thing. Good with that. Let's go.
He's just as annoying too. Jameis Winston, he's got that like, oh, hi, look at me, I'm cute, I'm funny, and you're like, no, you're not, you're an idiot. Like nobody, like, stop being such a moron. Just play the game.
Right, you're the only one believing it.
Yeah. And speaking of idiots, T.O. went to the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame receiver now.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my goodness!
Former Buffalo Bill, T.O.
I am so happy.
And Dallas Cowboy and Philadelphia Eagle and San Francisco. Like
Moss got in, didn't he?
Moss got in,
yeah. Randy Moss did too, yeah. So it's funny you bring those two up. I mentioned them during the Super Bowl after Nick Foles caught his touchdown and said Nick Foles passed Terrell Owens in career Super Bowl touchdown catches in that game. And he tied Randy Moss. Both Hall of Famers. Nick Foles. And he's got just as many touchdowns combined as those.
He's got more rings than Dan Marino and Jim Kelly combined.
Yeah, but he's also got more Super Bowl touchdowns than Walter Payton.
Yeah.
That too. Yep, that too.
Unfortunately.
Andre Reed, another one.
Yeah.
So he's on his way then.
Future Hall of Famer Nick Foles.
Yeah,
you know what? I got to give love to Nick Foles, though. To be able to do what he did, to come into that game, like it was Carson Wentz's team.
A lot of respect for that guy.
And to come in there and ball out like he did. And
it's not the first time that's happened, though. I just saw the other day, Doug Williams back in 1987 didn't play a fucking game all year. He came in for the playoff run.
Yeah,
won
he
a
played
Super
great.
Bowl.
And remember who ran the ball for them? He's never to be heard from again.
Oh, shit.
Right.
He broke a record for
right.
most yards in the Super Bowl.
Trivia.
Dun, dun, dun. Who?
The D-line trivia.
Right.
Anybody? Bueller? Timmy Smith.
Tim Smith. No, I would have never have gotten that. Nope.
Yeah, Timmy Smith.
I would have guessed Tim Stolo first.
Right.
Should have just said
Tim Tebow.
Smith. I'm guessing Smith.
Right.
Or Jones.
Jim? Is there a Jim?
That team right there, Doug Williams and Timmy Smith, never heard from after that season.
Jesus.
But Jeff Hostetler did it with the Giants against Buffalo.
Right.
Yes, I remember.
Remember that wide right?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Chicken. Remember when Peyton Manning won his Super Bowl with the Colts? Remember who he played?
Well, we didn't have Jim McMahon at the time.
Speaking of that Bills team, did you see Jim Kelly is coming to town?
No.
He's coming to the Sangertown Mall as part of the Gentleman's Corner barbershop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Nice.
I think it's sometime at the end of March.
No shit.
So Jim Kelly, we should try to get him on the deal.
Well, if he can't make it.
Oh, my goodness. That would be so.
If he can't make it, Frank Reich will be there. So Frank
Super
Reich's
Bowl
got more
champion.
Frank Reich's got more Super Bowl rings than Jim Kelly.
Yes, he does.
Oh, my God. We could get him on a deal. So does it kill you? Reich's got one more than you.
Do you think Frank Reich took a picture of his ring and sent it to
There were a lot of former Buffalo Bills coaching or playing in the Super Bowl this year. We had Bradham, Corey Graham on the Eagles.
Corey Graham used to be a Bear.
Yep.
And a Baltimore Raven.
Gillislee was on the New England roster. Ronald Darby on Philly. Stephon Gilmore on New England. Chris Hogan
Darby,
on
is
New
he the one
England.
singing Wishing Well?
I think so.
Is his cousin Terrence Trent Darby.
Yeah. Different guy. Frank Reich. I mean, there was a lot of Bills connection. And it's kind of exciting to see some of those guys go on and do well, but it's also kind of a just punch to the gut.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Alshon Jeffrey's got a ring.
I think we all kind of know how that feels, except for Greg. I mean, maybe this year Greg feels it.
Oh, they had Blunt and Chris Long.
Chris Long,
yeah,
came out, and now they got more rings.
Yep. Blunt had a great game too.
Yeah,
he had a very good game.
He did.
It's good to see him out there, and he was pending retirement. And a lot of people, they didn't fit a lot of people's schemes. Just come off that, from the Rams.
Years ago, just a few years ago, who was Blunt? You know what I mean? He was a washed-up guy who, now he's winning Super Bowls.
Well, I mean, he was.
It's Belichick's. That's
a
kind of
system.
his.
When you had him
just
and
the way
Bell
it
together,
works for him.
Yeah.
Him and Bell in Pittsburgh together, they put a good run, and I think that kind of rebuilt his career.
And then they cut him like halfway through the year that year.
Well, he got caught smoking a blunt.
Yeah. Well, he did something else too in the middle of the year. I think he got pissed about something during a game, and he went to the locker room while his teammates were still on the field finishing up the first half.
Oh man!
And then the next week they cut him, and then a day or two later, Belichick signs him with New England, and just revives his career again as a starter at that point.
He is what Brandon Jacobs should have been.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Brandon Jacobs was built the same way, but he
even
just
bigger. I think.
He's much bigger than him.
But he couldn't get low.
Nope.
With his shoulders, he ran so high that guys just chopped his legs down. I'm like, this dude's gonna ruin his knees.
And that's basically what it was. People were just submarining the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he couldn't take it after that takes a toll on you.
Well, then
It's
he
like
ended up
getting
going
cop-
to San Fran and like didn't really do much there.
No.
But yeah, I never really bought into the whole Brandon Jacobs thing.
Neither did
And then
I.
the only time they
I think
brought
it
him
was just
in
too big.
was at goal line. So like everybody knew he was going to get the ball. Whereas they usually
The
get
6'6" giant running back's probably
Right.
going to get the ball on the 1 yard.
Yeah, right.
They should have done some Nick Foles plays and just threw to the quarterback.
And then he couldn't catch a cold. Like you throw him the ball, it bounce off his hands.
Yeah.
Like a guy who's 6'6", like Clement, like that kid. Did you see the catch? The people were wondering if it really was a catch or whatever in the Super Bowl. Dude, for a running back to run that route and catch that ball as a wide receiver, amazing.
I think the referees, it's going back to those, couple of questionable catches. I think the refs were spot on with all their calls. I mean, one was a little questionable, but there was not enough to overturn anything.
I agree.
I think everything was fine. I don't really.
There was
Chris
a major,
Collinsworth can suck a napkin.
Oh wow, yeah. Let's not even get started on Chris Collinsworth.
Oh God.
Unfortunately, I agree. There was pretty good calls.
They were good calls, and there was a major difference between how the Super Bowl was managed as far as those reviews, I guess, compared to regular season, and I think even earlier in the playoffs. And it probably
the
is
head ref
because
was on site, right?
they did the reviews right on site instead of sending it to the booth office review in New York City and having them just figure it out in some office away from the game. So I thought the calls were right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, though. Both times they were reviewing those calls, I said, well, this is getting overturned. Because
both times I was like, this isn't going to count.
The one in the back of the end zone I thought was going to get overturned.
The ball did move a little bit, but you couldn't really tell.
But like, he toe tapped it though, like like the.
He definitely got 2 feet in.
Right,
I'm just saying when he went to adjust his forearm, it moved a little bit.
But we've seen plays like that get
so-
overturned in the regular season. The Calvin Benjamin play against New England.
But it didn't move when he hit the ground though. Like he moved as he was going out, but like he secured it. And the call with Ertz.
Yeah, the difference there between Jesse James was Ertz caught it on about the 5 or so.
And he jumped. He purposely jumped. That's a football move.
He took a step or two and then jumped.
Over a
So
defender.
as soon as that ball crosses the goal line,
It's a touchdown.
Dead ball.
Well,
it is a touchdown.
it's what, 2 steps and a football move, and then at that point he becomes a runner.
They got to revamp.
He was a
that
runner
whole
the
thing.
second he left his feet.
He took 3 big steps and then dove into the end zone.
Yes.
Over a
Agreed.
defender.
Over a defender.
Yeah.
Whereas Jesse James in the Steelers-Patriots game in the regular season caught the ball almost at the goal line and just kind of reached over without even really taking a step.
And it was all one motion.
Right. Yes, it was all one motion.
And that's the thing. Like everyone's like, whoa.
And the Des Bryant, no.
Des Bryant was
not even
still,
fucking.
yeah, he was still trying to catch the ball. He
Yes.
secured the ball, had it in his hand, and ran 3 steps and dove.
Right.
Like, that's a football move. And that's why, like, Chris Collinsworth, you fucking moron.
Yeah.
It's like you were a wide receiver, okay? Like, you should know this. He took 3 fucking steps and dove in the ball.
So
To
did
me,
you
it wasn't
hear?
even a
I
question.
don't remember if it was that play or if it was another one of the reviews. But did you hear Chris Collinsworth on the broadcast say, "I can't wait for this call to be overturned"? It's like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
He must have had money on the Patriots.
It wouldn't happen if Butler was in there.
That's right.
You make a
That's
good
still,
point.
there are times to hold your ground, but to hold your fucking one of your best cornerbacks off the field because he was late for a meeting and he was late for something else. All right, fine, you hold him out the first half, but the whole game.
Didn't he say he was in the hospital or something? And he was late to getting to the Super Bowl.
He
or
released
something?
a statement. They said that he was out partying, They was at the clubs and everything.
They said he went to a concert.
He missed a curfew and
Yeah,
was late to a meeting or something like that.
That's all unsubstantiated. He's already gone on and said that
he didn't. He said it was hurtful that they came out and said that.
Right,
he was home with his
none of that
family.
ever happened or anything like that. And then Belichick is not saying what Belichick was saying was that we made the best matchups that we thought we could for the game, like we always do.
Which I think was.
And
I call bananas.
Yeah.
once you,
I
think we talked about it earlier. Once you start getting torched, that's not the best matchup.
Change up your game plan.
Yeah, that's not the best matchup. You put your guy that's been in the game 97% of the time all regular
and Philly
season.
was targeting the guy that was in for him.
Right.
They were going right for him.
I can see if you want to put Gilmore on Elshon, right? But then you still got other guys to cover him. You still got Torrey Smith. You still got Aguilar. Like, you mean
Zach
to tell me he
Ertz.
can't match up with any of these guys?
Right. And they were playing from behind a lot. He's got great closing speed. It's just,
and he won the Super Bowl for you a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
and he's been crushing all year.
Right. Like,
you know
I don't
what I mean?
understand it. I don't get it. And that was a big surprise to me. Like, why would you take your top corner? One of your top corners. Put him on the third string guy.
He was basically standing his ground on team rules, saying regardless of the I understand it. Regardless of the situation, there are rules that need to be followed, and I have to follow through, regardless of what game it is, with the repercussions.
Not in the Super Bowl.
It is so tough. He basically Butler doing what he did. Now, if it was really,
what did he do?
We don't know what he did. If he did,
if family was in hospital, that's one thing. But out like partying and missing meetings and shit, that's a whole nother thing. It's basically Butler. If it's the partying thing.
What if it was Gronk?
Then
what if it was Gronk? Do you think for a half a second that they would bench
who's the
Gronk?
best player? Who's the best player on the defense?
He was probably one of them.
Okay, Gronk is the best player on the offense. So you're basically saying if Gronk did the same thing, you would have to hold him out as well.
There was no way in hell that they would hold.
Well, if I said to you, they're going to hold out Malcolm Butler because he's late for a fucking meeting, can you believe that? Would you believe me before the game?
No, I think it's dumb.
not.
But I think Kraft would have come
Not
down
in the
there
Super
himself
Bowl.
and been like,
exactly. So I'm like, now if it was family in the hospital, this is Belichick being just a stubborn asshole. You know, it's like somebody was taking advantage. If Butler was late because of partying, he was taking advantage of it being Super Bowl week. If it's
But then you take him out for
if it was in the hospital, it's Belichick being a stubborn
But
dick.
you take him out for the half.
You know,
you don't take him out for the whole
that's
game.
what I just said it a few minutes ago. You take him out for the half. You prove your point.
Or even
now
a
you bring him in the
quarter, first quarter.
Yeah, you realize Nick Foles is lighting up the guy that you put in for him.
You know, and he's going to be biting at the
you
bit
know
to
what?
get in, and you're
Okay,
like, you know.
Malcolm Butler's a free agent after this year. Let's just play him for the last 3/4, half of his career with New England, and then
prove your
send
point
him on his way.
and you move on.
We don't give him a contract to basically say, hey, you can't do that.
And when he gets in the game, you tell him, you know, you show improve, or you'll be sitting back on the bench.
I actually,
you know what I mean?
I actually thought that's what Belichick was going to do. I actually thought they were going to bring him in the second half to kind of throw a little crinkle into the plans. You know,
a huge crinkle.
Oh, it would have been. Okay, well now we got to adjust because we get fresh legs out there and
fresh legs.
A fucking great athlete.
Yeah.
And what happened to Elshon in the second half? Like, he completely disappeared.
Poof.
He was killing it in the first half,
Poof.
and then just boom, gone. Unless Gilmore really just
Well,
locked on him.
they were. I can't say they were running more in the second half because they ran just as just the same in the first half. They were just New England was not there to tackle.
No.
Oh my
Missing
goodness!
tackles like
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, look at that Clement play.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, a 40-yard play that he ran through 3 guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody want to tackle his ass? You know what I mean?
That catch he made,
But
though,
getting back to Malcolm Butler, too, real
Fancher
quick,
threw a
before we
battery
kind
or
of move on
something.
to something else. In this day and age with everybody with a camera on their cell phone, everywhere they go, especially at Super Bowl week, you know, parties or whatever is going on, somebody would have put something up of Malcolm Butler doing something stupid.
Absolutely.
I mean, it would have come out by
Right.
now if
Exactly.
he really
Great point.
was doing
If he was at a
something
concert or something
Yeah.
Yeah, if
crazy
he's at a
like
concert,
that.
there's going to be a picture of
your average
somebody's
Joe
gonna post it.
Schmo would have been there with his cell phone, pulling it up. Oh my God! Look, I
Absolutely.
think that's Malcolm Butler.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
would have recognized him.
I agree. So if it was the family in the hospital, man, I just don't understand the coaching staff at that point. I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it really came down to the
It's one of the
coverage,
strangest
but-
things I've ever
Belichick was quoted saying matchups. You know, he was
I call horse shit.
Right.
I do too. I mean, you went the whole year with this guy,
right.
Yeah.
and then all of a
He
sudden
said
he's
he-
not good enough. the coverage.
If that's the case, that's Belichick admitting he made a stupid move,
mistake,
which
you could have corrected. You had 4 quarters. You had 4 quarters to correct it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. So there's something else to the story, obviously.
And we're going to see it come out later. I mean,
it will come out at some point.
Once he's not on that team anymore, I think you're going to hear it.
Yeah, another month. March. I don't know exactly when March. Usually within the first week of March, free agency starts.
So this is what
10 days into March or something like that.
So I got here what Belichick said. He said Sunday that Butler's benching wasn't a disciplinary decision, but rather a matter of putting the players and the game plan out there where we thought we would be best suited to win, as we always do.
I disagree. I don't see his logic there. I really don't.
I don't see it either, especially when you're not winning.
Yeah, it'd be a different story if he got absolutely torched against Jacksonville.
Was the other 3 corners preventing touchdowns out there? I just want to know. No, they weren't. No. So you bring your fucking best guy in, and all right, maybe the first 3 aren't working. Let's bring them in. Let's see what can go on.
Especially in the second half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because now
you've already sent your message to Butler. You've benched him for the first half or even the first quarter.
Right.
You've benched him for a certain amount of time. Hey, you know what? You're not starting in the Super Bowl. You did whatever you did.
Right.
Okay, go out there and prove that you're the best corner on the team
your
and go win the Super Bowl.
Your defense has let up 22 points in the first half.
Now,
that's not.
Now he gets on the field.
To
not only is he already a good athlete, right? He's your starter that's been there, knows the system, but now he's pissed and hungry.
Mm-hmm. That's my point. Like
he's going out to make a statement. Like, you roasting them, you're not roasting me.
And the point is, like, you bench him for the first half, right? So now he's pissed. He's angry. He wants to get out there.
And
he wants to
fresh
play.
legs, like you said.
Right. So now you bring him out there, and now, like you said, he's hungry. He wants to show. He's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And some people play better pissed. It's like they said
Brady for one.
Right.
Yeah.
They actually I forgot who they interviewed, and they're like talking about Brady, and they're like, it was the guy that came up with the strip sack, and he goes, I just didn't want to piss him off. Because you never want to piss off Brady. No. He's like Michael Jordan. They'll kill you.
Dave Bandich said, that Belichick thinking that his mind wouldn't be on the game enough, thinking he would be playing distracted. Okay, well, if he holds him out the first half, and puts him in the second half, at that point he's focused. He's in the game. Whatever happened before,
he's forgotten about.
Yeah, he's forgotten about it because now he's like,
he's pissed.
I'm getting on the field. Yeah, I'm pissed. I haven't been playing. Yeah.
I got to stand up for my team.
You're losing the game at halftime. Your secondary is getting torched.
I got to stand up for my team because we're losing right now. We're not looking good. At my spot is not looking good right now.
Yeah, so we all agree first half, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The timing of it was weird, too. I guess
Get Belichick on the line.
They didn't even tell him, I guess, until right before the national anthem. So this wasn't even discussed in the locker room. It's okay, everybody, let's run out on the field for the Super Bowl and let's get out there ready to play. And
by the way,
Pink's coming out.
Everybody that's playing today, take a step back. Take a step forward. You stay right there.
He got one special downs play. That's it. He got one special downs play.
Oh man.
Pink's coming out to sing the national anthem. Oh yeah, Malcolm, go sit your ass on the bench.
Special team play.
So now, if there's an injury, if there had been an injury, would he have played then?
Probably
because he's active, but is it part of the disciplinary thing that they're keeping him out? Because then it will just blow a hole through.
You should have pulled a Nancy Kerrigan and just took a rod to some corner's knee. I'm in the game now, Bill.
That one blew me away. I just didn't understand why you would take your best corner out of the game. You're one of your best defensive players altogether.
Right. Yeah. He is one of the best
with a history too. I mean, he won them a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, and he's been stellar ever since.
So
you know what I mean?
Does James Harrison retire again?
He said he's coming back, I think.
Well,
I didn't think he did bad. I didn't think he did
I
bad.
thought he played pretty good. I mean,
I think if he comes back,
considering nobody played good on defense.
He was only under contract for the year. Is he going to sign with the Patriots again?
I think that's the only team he should play for. If he doesn't go back to the Steelers, which I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Stay with New England. You know what I mean? They're the team that likes those veteran players. They need
veteran situational players.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I liked where Philly went to. It was they took the page out of Belichick's book where they put guys in positions, specific positions to succeed. You know what I mean?
To suck something.
To suck something.
Can I suck your dick?
But you know what I mean? Instead of having these guys that aren't good in coverage, out there trying to like cover. You know, these linebackers, you use them just for
Right.
rushing the quarterback. Then they bring in a different guy.
Right.
You
He's
know
a
what I mean?
beast doing that.
Like, who else is putting in keeping 4 running backs on the roster, like, at the same time and playing them all? I mean, these guys are, and you're taking guys that were basically castaways, just like Belichick used to do.
Absolutely.
You know, like Jay Ajayi. Like, everyone's like, oh.
Does anybody else think Gilligan's Island when he says castaway? I don't know. Am I that old?
No,
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Yeah. Wilson.
Gillislee's Island.
But, you know what I mean? He's taking these guys, Chris Long, Blunt, you know, these guys who are good, but they're not stars. I mean, who's the star in this team? Alshon Jeffrey is probably
Nick
the
Foles?
biggest, right? Alshon Jeffrey is probably
Zach Ertz, I will say. Zach Ertz is a
Ertz,
star player.
Aguilar, I'm Blunt,
But those
you
guys,
know, Ajayi, they're a team loaded with a bunch of good players.
good players, but not superstars. You know what I mean? Like, not one of them. The closest one I can say is probably Alshon Jeffrey, is what he did in the past.
Yeah, but they're all starters.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
it's just
Carson
like,
Wentz when he was healthy. I think
Blunt was a starter on the Patriots.
He was on his way to becoming a superstar, absolutely. But Aguilar, last year, he was a nobody. This year, he really stepped it up. He played lights out. You know, Torrey Smith used to be your home run hitter, but he was kind of deemed as, you know, guy on his way out. But, you know, he came in and played well. Ertz was kind of a nobody until this year.
They got a great chemistry. Well, that O-line, having that O-line to give you that time.
Oh, that's huge.
That's
so
huge.
crazy.
There was, dude, it wasn't like the fucking Patriots D-line wasn't even fucking there.
Right,
it was just
right. Well,
fucking no pass
Philly
rush at
too,
all.
on the
I
other
even
side.
thought Harrison would make a difference, and he had a great push, but he never finished.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
he was always.
he made some nice tackles.
I always
tripped up a
finish.
Jai
You know,
a
I'm
couple
just-
times, but
We're talking Harrison.
but I think if anything, this Super Bowl proved that you beef up your offensive line
Yeah,
before you can.
we
be
talked
successful.
about that before the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
those
I was
two
like,
offensive
that's one of the
lines
key
were-
things that has to happen. The offensive line has to give Brady enough time to get the ball off. You know what I mean?
And you know, your casual fans watching the NFL draft, and they might be thinking, "I want a quarterback," or "I want this receiver." You know, you want those skill positions that you see on the highlights on SportsCenter. But those are the guys.
The Hogs.
You know, those
Yeah.
Hogs.
They win or lose
unsung
you
heroes.
games. I mean,
Absolutely.
when Philly lost one of the old linemen, I don't remember what quarter it was, what number he was, but one of the old linemen went out and they brought it back up in. I'm like, oh, this might be the opening for the Patriots,
Right,
and
right.
It wasn't.
And,
No,
and to a lot of people, that might be one of those like, oh, okay, there's just a guy limping off the field. But like you
No.
said, I was thinking something similar. I was thinking this could be like the little tiny
the
thing
crack that they
Belichick
need
needs
Yeah.
to get in there.
And
win
is
this
he on
game.
Harrison's side?
I just like the way they use the running backs. I mean, they're pounding you with Blunt. I mean, he was just crashing through the line. And then just when you get used to him, they brought out Jay Ajayi, who
Yeah.
would just kill it.
on the speed.
Just
yeah.
quick, yeah.
And then, like I said, they threw that big pass to Clement. I mean,
they kept us, like I said, they kept us reacting.
yeah.
You know,
They were
the-
running on passing downs and passing on running
The
downs.
worst
It
thing
was
you
great
want
to
to do
see.
defensively is react all the time. You know, you want to dictate to an offense what you're doing, you know, or what they're going to do. But they had us reacting all the time.
And they had a good enough front seven that they don't have to blitz. And Jim Schwartz rather not blitz. And a couple times he did. I guess they got burned on it. But you know, when you're going to beat Brady, you know, you got to make sure that you got a great front line because you know to get after him.
And they were squeezing him.
And
they
everybody
made
was
it.
covered. And he was still making great plays.
Well, that's
500
Brady.
yards. Yeah.
He's going to do it. But if his line just held a little longer, you know, you could see him looking downfield and like, oh, I got to take the dump off.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take the dump off. Not, I want to take the dump off. If, you know, because he's looking downfield like all he has to do is get another step. But he didn't have it. He didn't have the time.
Who won the MVP of that game?
Foles.
Oh, I called that, didn't I?
I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I believe I did. Yes, I
I
did. I
didn't
believe
write
I
it
did
down.
call that. When we took it last week, I said I'm going with Eagles and
think you did.
Foles.
Yeah, I think you
I
did.
said Alshon Jeffrey had a big
How
play.
about we haven't talked about this one yet? How about Brandon Cooks?
Oh
was
my
that the first
God.
quarter?
On.
I think
my
he's still
goodness.
sleeping.
He's still
God,
sleeping.
I don't.
You got to turn those up.
Yeah.
It's all the way up.
He's like, he got up 73.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was all the way up.
And you know
That was a
what?
little louder.
And it was.
I have to say, he got what he deserved.
Yeah, he did because he
Because-
kind of just blindly started
Yeah,
going sideways.
you are
or
in the
backward
NFL
even.
at the height of the biggest game in the NFL, and you catch the ball and you try
Run
to do
sideways?
You run around. You know these guys are flying around the field like crazy. You know that you just left a guy. You know what I mean? You cut across, and the guy's trailing on you.
That was driving. You and I were talking about that.
Yeah.
That was driving us crazy. These guys catching the ball and they're going sideways, and it's like, dude, just put your shoulder down,
Go upfield.
and go upfield.
Right. He literally turned around. You're going essentially back against the grain of traffic, you know, because there's somebody trailing you, and he paid for it.
He got lit up, and I'm so glad. I am so glad that the refs left that alone.
Yeah, because
You know
it
what
was
I mean?
clean as hell.
I didn't even think he got hit in the face.
No, but the thing is, he didn't lead with his helmet, and because the way he turned, and then
Right.
when he
Well, he was a runner at that.
shoulder, and
he
then
was-
the helmets did hit.
But he was a runner at that point.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, he was a runner because he did a damn little pirouette,
Yeah,
whatever he was
dance.
doing.
Loop.
He's like, you got jacked up.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
he got hit hard.
and-
The Cook's loop-de-loop, I think they call it.
The funny thing was when the guy hit him, he looks up and he makes the sleeping
Yeah,
sleeping
dude,
thing, and
that-
I'm like, no, he's not out. You're just trying to say that so he gets concussion.
I think it was
protocol.
actually Jay Ajay. Was it Ajay on the sideline doing that?
No, it was the
guy
player who
somebody
hit
on
him
the
who
field.
went
Yeah.
like just.
Yeah,
And it was not like a taunt by any means.
No.
It was,
I
he
think
was
he was
looking
trying
at
to
But
Like,
it could
he's
have
out.
been considered one. I mean,
well,
if
I
a flag
think he
came
was-
out, I wouldn't have.
He was
argued
looking
it.
at the Patriots sideline, like basically call him over, like, hey,
like
he's,
he's out.
He's knocked the
You know
fuck
what I
out
mean?
here, you know.
And I was thinking like, no, he's not knocked out because I didn't see that he got hit in the head at all. You know, but
yeah, he
Yeah,
was,
the live view you couldn't even tell because
Right.
the Eagles guy was coming from the other side
Right.
of the
the
field.
recap it was like, oh yeah, he's unconscious.
Cooks was quoted.
Yeah, he is sleeping.
Cooks was quoted as saying, he was out, man. And I'm glad that they left that alone, man. Because so many times in the NFL, you see today, like a
that
big
was
hit.
a good. No, that was a good clean.
Oh yeah, any big hit. Oh, he's a dirty player and all
Right.
that
No,
shit.
right.
Bananas.
They really did let him play that
Yeah.
game.
You
know
fucking
what?
let up at that speed.
Whether it was those reviews or whether it was the Cooks hit, they let him play.
All those pass interference calls in New England that got missed. But yeah,
Yeah.
they let them play.
They
and,
did.
and I was happy with that they actually let these guys go out there and ball. I mean, there were some calls.
the refs didn't dictate the game.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
That's probably
Finally.
the biggest reason why I
the
enjoyed
fucking
it.
Finally.
Super Bowl should be.
Yes.
You know,
It should be how every game should be.
you know,
That's probably why the losing quarterback had 500 yards. And
Right?
that's what happens when the refs don't interfere. You get the most yards ever in an NFL
I think
game.
we only had one pass interference call that whole game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Robbie Danger just checked in. He said Freddie Jackson was the most beloved Bill ever. No, I think that's Doug Flutie.
Yeah, I got to go with that
And
one.
I actually tested that theory out. We were at a Buffalo game one time, and
Robbie might be right on that. I don't know.
I go to my
Freddie Jackson is very beloved in Buffalo.
I go to my buddy.
Number
and go,
22.
I go, watch this. I go, wide right. And he turns around like, fuck you, right? I'm like, now watch. Flutie. And people are like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we love Flutie,
I
too.
love Doug Flutie. He was a Chicago Bear first. But
Yeah, I think he was everybody. He was
Yeah,
New
New
England.
England.
Yeah,
Charger.
CFL, Charger.
Charger. And you know what? Drew Brees says that he credits where he's at today because of Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie took him under his wing and was a mentor towards him. And, he to this day, he says, he
Was
credits.
Flutie with New England when Brady came up?
No, he was gone.
He was gone by then?
Yeah, he was gone before. He was before he went to.
I don't know,
he was before he went to Canada.
I bet you he was
Yeah,
a
he was-
backup. I bet you he was a backup when Brady was there. Because the
Brady was
Bills,
starting?
before this season, last made the playoffs in 1999, and Flutie was on that roster. And Brady, his first Super Bowl, I think, was 2001. Is that right, Greg? When they beat the
2000, yeah.
Rams. So, and I
2001,
know
yeah.
he was a backup with New England after Buffalo, probably after the San
Is that when he
Diego
did the
thing, too.
drop kick into the field, in the drop kick field goal?
I don't know. Maybe
He was a Bill.
Might have been.
I thought he went from the Bills to San Diego.
I think he did because the
'Cause
Bills GM left to go to San Diego.
Because I know he
shortly
went
after.
You
from
looking it up now?
Butler.
I think he went from.
Okay, he was in New England from 87 to 89.
Right, that was the early stint. He had another stint.
Yeah,
too,
and then
I
in
think.
2005.
So yeah,
Yeah,
he
so-
was
okay.
he was a Brady backup at one point.
And that was his last year. Yeah.
I think he did that. You drop kick the ball. Nobody does it in the NFL anymore, but it's a rule that nobody knows. You can actually drop kick a field goal, and he was one of the guys that know how to do it, and he did it in the game.
Leave it up to Doug Flutie, old school football player.
I think
right there.
Belichick let him do it in the game. Yeah, but he when Drew Brees is crediting somebody as being a mentor, And I think just Flutie just never got a fair shake.
I think that's
he was so tiny that the odds were stacked against him, and you had to have a special situation like the Bills. They gave him a huge chance,
And he killed it.
And he did,
And then they benched him for Rob the Slob Johnson.
They screwed up. Let's not even get into this.
Oh, my God, Rob Johnson. Oh, my fucking God. That whole fucking debacle. Oh, man, that guy was bad.
Yep.
They gave up a first-round pick for him, too.
Whew.
Oh, my boy Tony Castelline. Bones, what's up, buddy? He says, love my Flutie Flakes. Because, yeah, he's a San Diego fan, too. But he's down in Carolinas checking in.
Nice.
But, yeah.
San Diego fan or?
Yeah, San Diego fan. There's still some out there, I guess.
L.A. fan.
Well, he was a San Diego fan.
Right.
My brother's in San Diego, but he's a Philly fan, and he's killing
I kind of wonder how that works, too, because I know there's a lot of diehard San Diego fans that are like, fuck the Chargers. I'm not rooting for the Chargers anymore. They're not my team. And there are some that say, I'm a Chargers fan. And I guess it depends where you're from. If you're from San Diego and you're a Chargers fan, I could see that,
But it's like taking the Jets and moving them to Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like, you've always been a Bills fan, and Bills move somewhere else, and now you bring the Jets in, and you're like, now all of a sudden you're supposed to be a Jets fan?
Yeah, you're not
I
going to
wouldn't
be
be
a
a
Jets fan.
fan.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, Caleb, if you're listening.
I think he's the only Jets fan I know.
Yeah, right? But, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden they're moving a whole other team in, you're like, I'm supposed to be a fan of these guys?
As a Bills fan, I thought about that a lot over the years because there was some major uncertainty for a long time.
You might go to Toronto.
Before Terry Pagula came in, Ralph Wilson's later years, it's like, where's this team going to end up? Is the highest bidder going to come in? Bon Jovi and Donald Trump were trying to buy the team. It's like, where are these guys wanting to move this team? These guys aren't Buffalo people. Bon Jovi and Donald Trump are not going to want to keep this team in Buffalo.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm thinking, so what happens if they move to Toronto and become the Toronto Bills for per se, or somewhere else and become the whatever Bills? And in my mind, I was like, I'm done. I will not be a Bills fan anymore if they move out of Buffalo. And I was, with San Diego and with the Rams, which is kind of a little bit of a different thing because they went from L.A. to St. Louis back to L.A. or the Raiders. Some of these teams
going to Vegas, right?
I kind of wonder how the fans feel. If there's any fans out there that are listening to this that are fans of these teams, I'm kind of curious. Do you stick with your team when they move, or do you say, "Fuck them, they moved.
Right.
I don't like you anymore."
Yeah, Philly's in the talks of moving to Vegas now that they won. And the fans are, destroying the city.
Yeah.
The owner's thinking about moving the team. He's tired of, they're those ungrateful bastards.
They ran out of Crisco.
Where are you getting
that?
Are they destroying the city? Jeez, man.
Well, only 10 people got arrested, and some guy was throwing some horse shit.
Yeah.
But obviously, they weren't too bad this year.
I've seen too many videos of just looting and people just destroying roofs, and I'm like, what the hell? Flipping cars over? I'm like,
only one car got flipped.
But they did it when the Bulls won. They did it when the Bulls won the championship.
Yeah, when back in Detroit days, when the bad boys, the NBA, they fucking tore that city apart.
Wherever it happens, it shouldn't happen. I
agree.
Understand
it shouldn't.
I don't get
it.
I mean?
I'm so happy. I want to light shit on fire.
Right.
You know
what I mean? I want to cause my community harm.
The day that the Bills do win a Super Bowl, which hopefully I will see in my lifetime.
Everybody go to the titty bar.
I am very, very afraid to see what those Bills fans are going to do to the city of Buffalo.
Bills fans are horrible.
See, like in Detroit, they tore apart the city, but nobody noticed.
No, right?
That was called demolition.
Are we supposed to put graffiti on top of the graffiti?
It's urban development at that point.
Are we supposed to flip over the flipped over car back onto its wheels, or?
I think they built the new stadium on that piece of property they burned down. Urban development.
I don't think your wherever you live, your geographical location should dictate what where your team are. If you're a Buffalo fan and your team moves to Wyoming, wherever, you should still be a Buffalo fan. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
I do, because if a team that you don't like moves into your area, what are you now going to be a fan of your team?
Well,
that team?
It depends. I guess it depends if you're from that area, because if you're born and raised, say, in San Diego when the Chargers just moved, and they moved to L.A., I don't know. I don't think I would be able to stay a fan. If you're in New York State and you're a Chargers fan or a Raiders fan and they move, then it's a lot different because you're not a season ticket holder. You're not going to those games.
The Raiders moving is a huge thing because Oakland's. They moved from between Oakland and LA a bunch of times, but moving to the Vegas, like there's no history there.
Right.
Oakland had history. That's a historical.
And the Rams even is kind of in the same boat, before, Raiders moving from Oakland to L.A. to Oakland.
I think
and
you
then
can move
the Rams moving to L.A. Yeah, you can.
The fan base isn't as huge as the Raiders are one of those.
They don't have the history.
You had Marcus Allen.
Ironically enough, their history as far as being successful is in St. Louis too. They won the Super Bowl in St. Louis and moved back to L.A. where everybody was kind of like, oh, they belong in L.A.
Granted, you can't go to the home games and all that, because it's out there or wherever it goes, but you still like the coaches, the players, you like watching them play. You believe in their system. You believe in what they're doing. That can't just all go away because they decide to move somewhere. Well, in my opinion.
You got to think a town like Buffalo.
That's why I brought it up is because it is a really interesting scenario to think about.
See, L.A., though, is one of those places they're fair weather fans. You know what I mean? They got so much going on. They got the L.A. Lakers, the Clippers, and the Rams and the Chargers and all these sports teams, baseball teams and whatnot. Who the Bills got? They got Buffalo. They got the Bills and then they got the Sabres.
Well, here's a good example too. Cleveland. Before LeBron James and
LeBron James.
Yeah, before LeBron James and LeBron James. The Browns when they moved to Baltimore.
Speaking of which,
I can guarantee you.
They just traded IT to LA. Just kind of going with Cleveland and
trade
LA.
deadline day, right? But I guess it's a little different because they rebranded and became a different team. But when the Browns, which a lot of people forget about, they moved to Baltimore.
Right.
There wasn't any Baltimore fans in Cleveland. I can guarantee you that.
There's no,
now if they were the Baltimore Browns or something like that and kind of kept the same branding, maybe you would have kind of had,
little affiliation to it.
Some fans that were kind of like, they're my Browns.
Which I'm glad
still,
they didn't.
Well,
I'm glad too.
You may not adopt.
That's why we got the Utah Jazz. There's no fucking Jazz in Utah.
You may not adopt a fan base, like a team may not adopt a fan base when they get there. This is an interesting question. You may not adopt a fan base when you get there because, you're not from there and they already have their team. But the people who live there, who their team has left, they shouldn't adopt you either. They should keep their team. That's their team.
And that's where, I think they came back and brought the Browns back in Cleveland.
Right.
Is because
that was part of the move. Was the deal was okay? You can go ahead and move your team to Baltimore, but the rights to the Browns name stays with Cleveland.
And all the stats, all the history, everything stayed there.
And there was 2 or 3 years that there was no Browns. I think it was. It was 2 or 3 years.
I think it was 5.
Was it 5? But yeah, it was because you had the Baltimore Ravens, who used to be the Baltimore Colts, actually they were the Browns, and you had the Baltimore Colts, and now the Indianapolis Colts, and it's all a big mess. But in Buffalo, there's not a lot going on, so these guys really, really love their football team. So if you move that team, even to Toronto, which is not that far from Buffalo, but it's far enough. You got to get a enhanced license or a passport or whatever to go see them.
But then now you're not even.
It's not your team anymore.
Well, at that point, it's not an American team anymore.
True.
You know what I mean? You're a Canadian team, and I don't even know if you can. They can actually be in the NFL. Could they?
Well, they could if they sanction it through the NFL, which I think they're trying to do. Is trying to broaden it to Mexico and
really.
Yeah, that's why they're playing games in Mexico. That's why they're playing games in London and they actually played games in Toronto. Bears played the Bills.
Sorry, it was 3 years. It was right. You're right.
Okay.
96 to 99.
And they're trying to expand it out there, just like the NBA does. I mean, I guess the NBA can get away with it. I mean, they got Toronto Raptors and Vancouver and some other teams out there, so it can be done.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it would be kind of cool to expand it out a little bit more and kind of get Canada involved and there's some big market teams.
And then you get the Canadian teams that are like, yeah, we want a piece of that. So there's a whole new crop of players that you got that I can't say that they wouldn't fit because if you're a football player, you're a football player.
Right.
Okay. There's different levels to it. Obviously, everyone knows. But the Canadian level, who knows? You may have somebody. Well, there's some guys who've played in the Canadian level. that who come back and played in the NFL who did just fine.
Doug Flutie.
I'm thinking of what's the quarterback for Arizona Cardinals who's not there anymore.
I believe Cam Meredith did too.
What's his name? He was
Warren Moon.
Not Warren Moon.
Warren Moon did though. He went up to Canada for a while. So did I think Steve Young did too. I think.
I can't think of his name. If I didn't say it, I would have thought of his name.
What team does he play for?
He used to play. He's retired now. He used to play for Arizona.
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner.
Was he up there?
Yeah.
He was in the Arena Football League for sure.
Yeah. He played in Canada. He played overseas. He played everywhere he could.
So did, like I said, so did Warren Moon. Warren Moon played over there, which I think is Warren Moon in the Hall of Fame? He should be, right?
I don't know.
Like that guy was.
I think he is.
The passes that guy had. He was.
And that's when football was football, when they didn't call these crazy calls.
And he was one of
2006.
And he was one of the first black quarterbacks that was a passer first.
Yeah.
You know, and they wanted him to turn him into a running back. And, you know, he stuck to his guns to be a quarterback because, like, in the NFL back in those days, it was unheard of being a black quarterback.
Right.
I mean, they always try to move you into, like, wide receiver or something like that. And, but, man, Warren Moon had a freaking arm on him.
He had a cannon. I remember that.
Yeah, he did. In such a quick release.
He was awesome. It's a pleasure to watch.
So, and I think, like, you know, he broke down a lot of barriers there, you know. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
And because of at that point, all black quarterbacks were runners.
Yeah.
You know, that's
your Randall Cunninghams and
yep.
I don't know Doug Williams. I think he was. I mean, Sil brought him up earlier. Won the Super Bowl with the Redskins.
Right.
Not that he was the starter, but
to this day,
I believe he was a passing quarterback too. I don't think he was
the first only black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, right?
No,
I'd
I seriously can't believe that.
Name another.
I'm
one.
going. Hang on. Super Bowl winners,
which is mind-boggling.
It is.
I mean,
no. Russell Wilson.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Is he black? I thought he was like Hawaiian or some shit. Is he even black? Is he black? I don't know. Like,
Fucking the fuck out of here.
He like looks Hawaiian to me. I don't know. But
oh my god.
Okay, then Russell Wilson. So 2 in the
Right.
history of the NFL. I mean, you got Michael Vick. You had Cunningham. What's his name? Don McNabb. I thought McNabb was going to do it.
Right.
You know what? McNabb.
I love McNabb.
I thought he was going to do it too, but towards the end, I freaking hated it. I used to like McNabb. Towards the end, he became a whiner. If his team was down, he would give up. I hated it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my. He's the only one, and now I got to look up because you're an asshole.
Look at
What nationality is Russell Wilson?
Hopefully it'll tell me. Thank you, Wikipedia.
But that just amazes me that, like, all these quarterbacks, you know, black quarterbacks that came through the league,
right?
That's still it. You know what I mean? Like, Doug Williams is still the only one.
Well, for one, there's not many of them, but you still, regardless of it, you still have to have a team that makes it into the playoffs, and then you got to win the biggest game out there.
Did
you know what I mean? No matter what.
Slash win it? What's his name?
Cordell Stewart.
Cordell Stewart. Did he win a Super Bowl?
No, I think that was Neil O'Donnell, wasn't it?
Oh, he was.
It was Neil O'Donnell.
He came in on specialty plays.
No, Neil O'Donnell lost to
Dallas,
the Cowboys.
Right.
Yeah. Larry.
But he was the quarterback.
Larry Brown had
Super
3
Bowl.
interceptions, and like everyone thought he was a stud, and he just shit the bed afterwards.
I kind of.
It doesn't exactly say.
I kind of couple that with how many left-handers, left-hand quarterbacks, won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? There's not many out there, but even if they were out there, your team still got to be good enough.
And there's only one black coach to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he grew up in Virginia.
Is that Coughlin?
Dungy.
So
Coughlin's white.
No, or what's his name? What's his name? Pittsburgh.
Tomlin.
Yeah.
You're right. So 2. Because the first one was
said Coughlin.
Dungy.
Dungy and Tomlin, yep.
Either way, with Dungy won, either way a black coach was going to win because you had Lovie Smith he was going against. But it's still like, it bothers me that like there's still not a lot of black coaches in the NFL.
It's a black nose.
You know what I mean? Because these guys are former players getting up there. I mean, you had like Singletary and some of these guys coming through, and you just think there would be more.
Yes, Wilson became just the second black starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, so
joining Doug Williams.
2.
I told you that was a
and
black
we've had Cam Newton and Kaepernick in the Super Bowl
and
fairly
McNabb.
recently.
Yeah.
McNabb, but couldn't get it done.
And if they had a kicker, Cunningham would have been in there.
Yeah.
In that, but
like I said,
yep,
they've been there. You just have to have the team. You know what I mean? You just have to have the team.
They had a team in Philly, man. They did. He just doesn't know how to run the 2-minute drill.
But you're up against another team. You know.
I mean, you had T.O.
We just lost the Super Bowl.
Brian
to
Westbrook,
who we should have won against, but.
I don't know, man. That was a great game.
It was a great game, and they're a great team. I'm sorry, they're a great team. Now, are they one of the greatest teams in Super Bowl history?
No.
Ask an Eagles fan.
They are for the Eagles. I don't even think
I'm serious. They seriously think they're in like the top fucking 3 of the best Super Bowl teams ever.
No
I
way.
think you're drunk as shit.
No way.
They drink their own urine at this point.
Yeah, right?
No way. When you got teams like the 85 Bears, the 86 Giants.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, some of those teams are like
the fucking 49ers of the early 90s. The fucking Cowboys. Those teams would destroy this team.
I wouldn't put them nearly in the greatest team conversation by any means, but
today they are the greatest team.
Doing one of the most incredible
Can't
things in the Super Bowl and beating Bill Belichick and Brady the way they did.
You absolutely beat the best.
The way they won the
the
Super Bowl, I would say, is one of the most impressive things.
Now,
I've ever
do
seen.
I think this team would have beat like one of the Giants teams that beat the Patriots? Yeah, I do. I think these.
I think
this
so,
Philadelphia Eagles team was better than both Giants teams that beat the Patriots.
I don't know. That was a pretty good Giants team. That defense was
I don't
not
think
the
so.
second time.
Yeah,
not
but
the first time.
I don't
maybe
think they beat those teams because
did Eli Manning
that
catch a
defensive
touchdown
line
pass though?
Would have not. He would have that run pass option would have went nowhere, and it would have just
good old line.
It would just smother that. Not to those guys.
Not to that Giants team.
I will listen to the argument against the first Giants team. The second one where they just fucking barely. I mean, granted, both wins were 3-point wins.
But they went against an undefeated team.
I know, but they had
was
just
blowing the doors off
they had
people.
just played them 3 weeks before, and Patriots only won by 4 points or 3 points.
Yeah.
So they had just played them in less than a month.
But they
played them twice.
But you forget,
and it's hard to beat a team twice.
But you forget, they also had to go against the Cowboys at the time, who was killing it. They had to go against Green Bay, who everyone said Green Bay is going to destroy them, and they beat Green Bay.
You're right.
They went against the best of the best that year.
But you know what my biggest problem with that Giants team is Eli Manning. That's my biggest problem.
I think we've already established that he didn't win that game.
Right.
But the defense won that
But they
game.
had two.
I know.
And we're talking about the defense against this Eagles offense.
3 wide receivers that were over 6'5". I mean, he had Plexico Burst was like 6'9". Hakeem Hicks was like 6'6". Manningham, he was like.
All right, which one of those 2 Giants teams do you think is better, the first one or the second one?
Well, they're a matter of 2 years. It's pretty much the same team.
It's like good answer.
You know what I mean?
Good answer.
It's basically
fucking piece of shit.
I think it was the. I'm pretty sure it was the team with Eli Manning.
He tried to get you. That's what I said. The second team.
And that's why I say, like, when everyone says, "Oh, Eli Manning's 2 Super Bowl rings," yeah, I get it, but it was that defense that won it for me.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
They were just brutal. They were just brutal.
They beat the shit out of Brady.
Strahan and
they were just brutal.
Was JPP on? No, it was OC.
JPP was on the second team.
He was on the second team. He was.
OC was.
OC was on. I think he was on both.
Yeah, OC was definitely.
Yep.
Strahan was still playing in the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So their defense was very good, especially to be able to beat New England in 2 Super Bowls. To kind of out scheme Belichick. I mean, that's as good as it gets. As much as I hate the Patriots, I'm sorry.
Doug Peterson and Frank Reich were
to
literally
coach or out scheme
without
Belichick.
pants on, watching those Super
You know
Bowls.
what I mean?
What do we do to beat the Patriots in the big game?
Yeah.
Karen fucking
wait.
it.
Play like the Patriots. That's pretty much what they did.
Do what
Belichick
Belichick would do.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good strategy.
Speaking of Belichick and the
they had-
Patriots, And we've talked a lot about the Super Bowl, but we have not mentioned Josh McDaniels yet. We got to talk about Josh McDaniels.
Good call.
That's so fucked up.
That
what
is
he
really
did.
fucked up.
Oh, it's very Belichick-like.
Yeah.
They had chicken. No,
he took
they
a page right out of Belichick's
Yeah,
book.
remember what he did? He got hired by the Jets, and he's like,
Twice.
I'm out. I don't want to go there.
Two times.
But they fucking hired staff. They took a linebackers coach from Dallas and he made him the defensive coordinator, and they got him a couple offensive assistants. They had staff coming in, signed a contract, and then and moving their families there, and he turns around and does that
And
shit.
that's why I'm glad that the Bears went with Nagy, because they interviewed Josh McDaniels.
I know, right?
And that we would have been stuck with our thumbs up our ass going, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And did you see who?
Well, we would have got the Fliplo.
Filippo. Where's the bell on that one?
Bears also hired Brad Childress as a
offensive assistant.
Oh, that's a good hire.
Yeah, I like the
got him out of retirement.
Coaching staff that he got going on there, but Josh McDaniels, like maybe when you go look and you look at
he's
Indy,
the heir apparent.
Indy's in disarray, man. They don't know what the fuck's going on over there.
Who knows what's going on with Andrew Luck?
Yeah.
And all these guys that just signed contracts to be
if
assistant
they're
coaches,
smart,
they don't know
now
who
raid.
I
they don't know who their boss is. They don't know who their head coach is.
I like Jacoby Brissett. I don't know if he's a guy that you build your team around, but he's decent.
Raid the Eagles
not.
staff. Get one of the coordinators. If we want that Eagles team to go down next year, grab one
Frank
of their
Reich.
Grab
I
Frank
would go
Reich.
grab
Yes.
Frank Reich.
Yes.
Indy,
right away.
we never mentioned Indy. I mean, that could be a place for Nick Foles. You know what I mean? Like a guy that.
Especially if Frank Reich goes there.
Well, is he even interviewing anywhere? Frank
Well,
Reich?
he can now.
They ain't going anywhere. They want to go for another title. That's why I said that's why you haven't seen these guys out there, really interviewing.
Well, now we might. Who
I
knows?
don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. There's an open head coach spot, and it depends on Andrew Luck too. I mean, if there could be word around the league that Andrew Luck is just screwed health wise, maybe that had something to do with McDaniels bailing. And did you see McDaniels' agent today?
He fired him.
He dropped him. He said, "I'm not your agent anymore after you did this."
Wow. Well, he was going to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to be blacklisted among the NFL. So he's putting all of his eggs in the being Bill Belichick's successor now.
They said that he was going to make not quite Belichick money and not quite who's the other coach there that's getting paid a lot. But they said
John Gruden.
Yeah, Gruden.
Yeah,
they
huge
said that
deal.
It's not quite that kind of money, but it's close. And he's like, here's a guy that failed in Denver.
Yeah.
Came back.
Failed miserably.
Miserably. I mean, that's the whole reason Cutler left.
He also went to the Rams, too, for a year as their offensive coordinator, and I think he got fired after 1 year, McDaniels.
So why are we giving these guys who are unproven
McDaniels
so much
has
money?
Done nothing in his career without Tom Brady or Belichick.
Right. Yeah. And from what I'm reading, his problems, and he was cocky and stubborn in Denver. So, what's going to change?
It sounded like it was a complete mess in Denver.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a young coach going out there and kind of going through the trials and tribulations of learning how to be a head coach. Right. It was just a complete mess.
Even when he takes over, because he's they're denying it in New England, but even when he takes over, there's going to be no Brady. He's going to be on his own.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be, dude. I feel so
tough.
bad for you,
It's
right?
gonna be
I feel
freaking
bad
tough.
for you for 3 years from now.
Well,
it's going to be so tough.
They have to deny it
buckle
because
down
of,
and make some phone calls like, "Hey, bro."
Hey, Bill, you want to come back and be my defensive coordinator?
See, I was hoping that.
Oh man, where's Eric Mangini? Where you need?
I would have loved to seen Belichick stay after Brady leaves. You know what I mean? Like, see what he does with that team, because it's going to have to go through a serious rebuild.
They're going out holding
Wait a minute,
hands.
wait.
They're going out holding hands.
If Brady leaves,
they're
going to go through a rebuild. And if Brady and Belichick leave at the
You think a
same time,
rebuild?
Yeah. Who the fuck are you going to get to run that offense if Belichick's gone?
I can't wait to see either one of them without the other one.
Well,
I don't care if it's Brady
here's the
that
thing.
leaves first or Belichick that
Brady
leaves
went
first. I
down
can't wait
with an
to see
injury.
that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He was gone for almost the entire season.
Right, because you still had Belichick there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm
so
saying,
if Brady
like-
leaves and Belichick's still there, you still got the system.
You still got the system,
Yeah.
right? But then you got to develop somebody to take care of it. Because right now, who's your backup?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, you already saw it years ago with Matt Castle, and they won double-digit games.
Right. So, but now when they both
If you had Garoppolo, I'd say
they
you're
they
better
can't be
off.
there forever.
Right.
So when they both go,
McDaniels
it's going
is
to be a
screwed.
sad.
Now let me.
They're like the end of a Disney movie, holding hands, skipping, whistling.
Matt
They're
Patricia
both
was
going
the
out.
smart one.
Do you
we're
think-
going blazing saddles?
Do you think the Garoppolo change, trade had something to do with Belichick wanting to maybe bow out? Because with Garoppolo there, you got a guy that's a successor. You got a guy that could win without Brady there. Now who do you got? I mean, you have
nobody. You have Hoyer. I think
Hoyer,
is a backup.
Who's like
I think it's Hoyer. Yeah.
Who's like Ty Detmer. Like that's who reminds me of.
That's carbon. That's
a good way of putting
That's
it.
a great fucking
chicken.
analogy.
Right.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you just said.
Ty Detmer, who used to be an Eagle.
Just a game man. Basically, a guy who'll get you,
dink and dunk and
completed passes, but no real fucking points.
Right.
Oh, damn.
But like
that's the Bertlos.
So I would have liked to seen what Belichick would have done rebuilding New England with getting away from Brady and see if he could still do it. Because like you said, like Brady and Belichick have been together the whole time. And I would have loved to seen Brady go off somewhere like Peyton Manning did and take over a team and bring them back to the Super Bowl.
I would not want to see that.
but to secure, is it the system or is it the quarterback? Like,
it's the system. It is the system.
It's both in this case.
Well, here's the thing. It's the system,
which is
but
more
he's
important is what we're wondering.
Brady's a perfect facilitator of that system, and he knows it down pat.
If Brady goes to another, if he had went to another team, like say he goes to another team tomorrow, he instantly boosts that team up.
Does he? Though?
Instantly boosts that team up because now you're going to run things that you didn't run before because you have this quarterback who's going to drop dimes. You're consistently. He's a consistent passer.
Yes,
consistent.
But you're also talking about a coaching staff that has people playing in position where they
thought
need
his
to be.
accuracy wasn't as he wasn't as good this year in his accuracy. He was
gonna
overthrowing a lot.
I was going to say 5 years ago I would have agreed with you,
Yeah.
but now I don't know if Brady this has nothing to do with his ability, but more to do with his his reputation and how he'd handle himself on a new team. I don't know how that would work if he just walked in to say like the Broncos one day and everybody on the Broncos were like, "Oh, hey, Tom Brady, come on in."
But what happens when
here,
these guys get out of position? What happens when these guys drop balls and when they're not? You get the me guys and you get the you don't have that culture in the locker room.
That's what I mean. It's not built in anymore if you go somewhere else.
Because Bill Belichick built that culture of winning in the locker room, and everybody's where they need to be.
I disagree because just about every other year, Brady gets a new crop of receivers, a new crop of running backs. You know what I mean? He gets somebody new all the time that have to fit into the system.
Right, but he got a coach that can get
It's
him
also
in
Belichick that gets that new crop of receivers and
I think
backs.
if he went somewhere else, okay, he is fully capable of running an offense. It's kind of like
if they cater it to him and you get the right weapons around him. But if he goes to someplace like the Browns or someplace like that,
that's shitty.
Yes, it is.
It is, but like you're talking about the GOAT, right? I mean, he should be able to. I mean, Denver wasn't shit when Peyton Manning went there.
Denver wasn't a bad team.
They weren't bad,
right? Denver wasn't the Browns,
right?
You know what I mean?
Denver still had that elite defense,
right?
That they've had for years.
So you can put him on a Browns team, or you can send him to Arizona. You can send him. Anywhere
Arizona's
like
probably a really good comparison.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Arizona's a playoff team already. But
Denver was on the verge too, though, at the time when Peyton Manning went.
And one
there.
thing the one thing that Denver did was they went with Brady's system, or not? I'm sorry, Manning's system. They let Manning play the way he wanted to play
because you have to because he's that good.
But he also went to veteran coaches too. I mean, he had
but I mean somebody who. He's basically a coach on the field.
Right.
You know what I mean? He can go up there and he's calling off plays and he's dictating what he's running. If he goes up there and he looks and he says, okay, this is not what I like to see. I'm going to call this off. I'm going to call this off. You know what I mean? That's what he's doing. He's a coach on the field.
The trust of the coaching staff to say, hey, go out there and if you see something, you make a decision to change the play and do what you want.
He's a coach on the field.
Speaking of Brady, I just want to touch on some of the awards that went on over the weekend before we sign off here. Brady winning MVP.
We got 22 minutes. Where the hell are we going?
Well, I'm just saying, I want to cover this.
It's going to take 22 minutes to cover the awards.
Let's do this. It's Brady.
2 MVPs.
Now, let's talk about the draft, too.
Is Brady the oldest person to win MVP?
Shit, if I know.
He's got to be.
He's got to be. I mean, 40 years old, win the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I don't know who else would be.
Right.
You guys are the stats guys. I have no idea. I know football.
But also up for MVP was Brady, Gurley, and Carson Wentz. I'm surprised Carson Wentz was still on the list. I mean, he had
I
a
thought
stellar
Todd
season.
Gurley should have won it personally.
Gurley had a great year.
Yeah, Brady was the oldest at 40.
Oldest ever.
Yeah.
Is he 40? I thought it was 39.
That's none of your business.
Todd Gurley won
Check his
Offensive
birth
Player of the Year.
certificate.
Todd Gurley won Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Which I can't argue with
Understandable.
that.
Yeah.
And then
That makes sense, I guess. Then,
but
yeah,
then-
Brady would be the most valuable player, I guess, if you're gonna get down to the actual definition of MVP versus offensive player.
The
of
way
the
I
year.
look at it is if how will a team
Trying to
do
get to facts.
if that player got out got an injury and left, would that team crumble? It's
in
the
that
most
case,
valuable player.
Then in that case, Aaron Rodgers should have got it.
Right?
Well, you got to play more than fucking 4 games.
No, I'm saying because he got hurt, they shit the bed.
Right, they did. You're right.
So they.
But they were like only
Aaron Rodgers
only
is a
one game above
ridiculously good
500 when he
quarterback.
did go out.
Aaron Rodgers is
so
something like that.
It's not like perfect case is the Eagles. They didn't fucking fold when Wentz went out. So there goes all that Carson Wentz
didn't
MVP
fold, they
talk.
folds.
Now, here comes the Houston Texans. It's just the same. There you go.
Yeah.
He would have won MVP.
I think
hands
so too.
down.
I think so too, and I think Russell Wilson should have been in the top in the.
Russell
conversation.
Wilson had a great year.
And he took that
They
team
would have fucking
all-
folded unbelievably
Oh my
if
God!
he
He
had.
put
Did
that
you
team
see,
on his shoulders.
I don't know how far this stat carried into the year, but it was pretty late into the year. There was one touchdown that Russell Wilson did not have a part in.
Yeah.
At one point, very late in the year, and they might have finally had a running back rushing touchdown at some point.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but it was like probably week 15 the last time I saw
It was
that
like
update.
85% of their
He was.
offense.
Yep.
Yeah, or
Yes.
more. It might
insane.
even been more than that.
That's insane.
And he
and
led
he's not
them
even
back.
on the list. You got Carson Wentz on the
Crazy.
list, not Russell Wilson, because they weren't winning as many games, they didn't go to playoffs.
Right.
But I mean, that guy, you
But
take
still, yeah.
you take Russell Wilson
But
off
still.
that team,
Right.
they're nothing.
Oh, they
Right.
would. Yeah, they'd be picking in the top 5 this
Right.
year with the way that defense crumbled and
Yeah.
all those guys.
All
got
the guys
hurt.
got hurt, right? So does that mean Richard Sherman's on his way out? I heard that he might be getting traded.
Really?
Yeah,
It's possible.
There was talk of that last year.
yeah, I
even,
heard that.
We'll take him.
before the hurt.
you probably fucking would. No, you got a hole with Malcolm Butler gone.
Yeah, that's where Richard Sherman's gonna go. He's gonna be the Super Bowl MVP next year.
Either that or Revis is going back. Also, the defensive player of the year was Aaron Donald. So 2 teammates won it. First time since Ray Lewis and Jamal Lewis. Same name. Woo. Back in 2003.
They cousins.
But yeah, Gurley, I can't argue with that. Although there's some other people that, Kamara, but he won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Right.
Which, again, if Deshaun Watson doesn't get hurt, I mean, we're talking Rookie of the Year and MVP. I mean, what do you have, like 19 touchdowns?
Yeah, and he only played 4 to 6 games. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah,
That's
it was
insane. That you end your year with 19 touchdowns, playing a full season. That's pretty good numbers. You know what I mean? Like to do it as a
It's
rookie,
over a touchdown a game.
and a rookie having 19 touchdowns total,
Right.
would be great.
Yes.
But at, 6 games or so, whatever he played, that's unbelievable. And then so now we got the offensive and defensive rookie. of the
How about
year.
this? I just looked up Russell Wilson stats here on the offensive MVP or the MVP and offensive player of the year. He had a part in 95% of his team's touchdowns this year. 95%.
95. Wow, that's insane.
If he handed a ball off, during a touchdown, that counts.
It happened. Yeah, there was one time that a guy scored that wasn't Russell Wilson. That means
That's
Right,
because defensive touchdown. Right?
But offensive rookie and defensive rookie, same team again. Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore.
I mean, other than the hiccup in the Minnesota game, I don't see a problem with either of those. For Lattimore.
Yeah, Kamara,
Lattimore had a
Lattimore.
Great, I thought Trey White, and of course that's a little bit of homerism talking. Trey White had a amazing rookie year. He had the odds were stacked
Actually,
against
Lattimore
him.
wasn't even on that.
Trey White, phenomenal
Something
rookie
called
year.
facts.
He's a lockdown corner in the making. He already is, I think.
yeah, I was trying to see who else they had listed.
I think White came in second, I want to say.
They said one that they don't have the list of the rest of the guys. But he was like Kamara was one of those guys that came on late. You know, like Kareem Hunt was one of the guys, the front runners, and then of course Watson. Right. You know, I think Hunt, like he had that little bit of slip in the middle of the year where they weren't giving the ball as much.
They dropped off for a few games, yeah.
But I think like had they kept giving the ball, he would be in this discussion.
Yep.
This rookie class was amazing.
Very good.
I loved it.
Class.
Very entertaining.
On both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
I mean, you had Christian
McCaffrey.
Christian McCoy, yeah. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, led the teams in receiving. It led the whole league in receiving for running backs, I believe.
I think he did, yeah. At least in receptions. I don't know about probably yardage too. Unless Kamara passed him, I don't know. It was Kamara and McCaffrey right up there for the top two. I mean, but either way, yeah. The point's the same. Those two guys, Kareem Hunt, Watson before he got hurt, the guys on the defensive side of the ball, Lattimore, Trey White, whole bunch of great rookies. So the future's pretty bright.
Even
so let's get Tom Brady out of the league.
To be a little bit
on to these young guys.
Eddie Jackson, being a homer, he ran back 2 touchdowns of 75 yards each. Yeah. Broke a record.
Tariq Cohen too.
Tariq Cohen, yeah, great kid. They had a great year. There's just so many great rookies this year that it was so tough. So for him to win that, I mean, he came on late in the year, and to be able to share a backfield with a guy like Ingram, and actually, this kid can catch, he can run, he can block. I mean, I'm excited for next year when you get these guys all back.
The one position where rookies were kind of lacking this year was wide
reverse
receiver.
Cowgirl. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, that too. The 2 positions. I take
that was
that
2 in
back.
the pink, 1 in the stink.
But there was not too many. There were not too many rookie dominant receivers this year, and I kind of expected there would be a few. Like Corey Davis with the Titans was. I think he was the 5th overall pick last year.
So
he got hurt.
Defense has played better this year. I'm happy about that. I think they got the whole the running game came into play more this year.
That's what I was just going to say.
They said it was like the lowest passing year in, I think, 5 years.
Awesome.
Right. So if we're trending that way, right, and we were just
boner.
talking about mobile quarterbacks and that may be the future or what have you, and then we're getting all these rookie running backs and things like that, do we think – does it look like that the league is moving towards running more?
More physicality. Yes. You know why? Because there's too many fucking penalties in the secondary. That's why.
No, that's not why. It's because everyone went to the smaller, faster linebackers.
Yeah.
And
and now you can beat them up.
And guys like that. So they went to that. So they can cover sideline to sideline.
Absolutely.
And they can go back in the passing game.
Well, things work in cycles, too. I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just last year,
league
it was the exact opposite. It was like, holy shit, this is a passing league now. And
then you could bring guys like...
Right, what I didn't like. I like ground and pound.
I do, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
Love ground and pound.
Smash mouth football.
I do, too. And I'm glad it's back. I mean, you got guys like... Well, last year we had 2 rookies go lead the league in rushing with Zeke Elliott and Jordan Howard. And Jordan Howard, I mean, you're talking about a guy that lowers his shoulder and plays classic football and just beats people up. So now you got these smaller linebackers trying to come up. Yeah, they might get you, from hitting, breaking one big, but they're going to wear down. And we see that a lot, when you got guys like Ingram, then Kamara, like pounding you, boom, boom. And you're finally seeing not just one workhorse back.
Right.
You're seeing a running back by committee.
Right. Yeah. You're going to see that
like
more.
Carolina, like you said, with McCaffrey and then Jonathan Stewart. Not that Stewart is like any kind of superstar, but
but he's one of those underrated guys.
But it's kind of trending towards that. I mean, it's
Newton
more,
was one of the leading rushers on their team,
Cam
so they
Newton
weren't running the ball.
So I mean, they're still running the ball though. It's just spread out. I think that's kind of what we're going to is you don't see those workhorse guys anymore as much.
Well, I mean,
your Todd Gurley's and your Zeke Elliott's. Frank Gore back in the day, those guys are the rarity now. Now it's like we're going to have 3 running backs, like kind of like what New England does.
And I think it's
and
smart.
We're going to run the ball at you, and these guys aren't going to be as tired because we're going to spread the load amongst 2 or 3 guys.
And New Orleans has been doing that for a long time, and I've always wondered why more teams haven't adopted this. And in New Orleans, they do it great. I mean, you see it now with Ingram and Kamara, but they were doing it before when they had Pierre Thomas and Ingram was still on the team. Then they had Reggie Bush, and they would mix it around. And you see Philly doing that, keeping 4 backs. And we forget that they had Sproles on that team this year.
Yeah, that's a great example is Philly, too, yeah.
I'm so glad he got
Blunt,
hurt. I wouldn't want
Clement.
to see that crap.
Well, even though
Greg wants to relive it.
Like New England.
I got highlights.
Even the Vikings. When
low lights.
When Dalvin Cook went down. You know, like then they went to the two back set with Murray and
right. So even they had three
McHenry?
capable McKinnon.
McKinnon.
They had three capable running backs on their roster, and kind of going back to a quick point that we made earlier about LaShawn McCoy with the Bills, it's just LaShawn McCoy right now.
Right.
And that's not the way the current NFL is trending. Is you need 2 or 3 running backs on your roster.
You need to share that ball. And I've been saying that for years because instead of like having your guy being a backup and like he may never see the field except for like dispel a guy for
backup
2-3 plays.
is not the right term these days.
No,
it's like secondary guy to come in like Tariq Cohen.
Put more talent on the team. Right. Yep. Put as much talent and like if you got a guy who's a workhorse, get a guy who's a speed guy. You know, like mix it up a little bit. And I like the way that's going now.
Or have a couple of each because that that kind of plays into a dictation of your gameplay. Everyone knows you got this beast that's sitting back there, or you got this guy who's going to sprint out on you.
And that's kind of why I like where the Bears, when they picked up Benny Cunningham, I was like, eh. But then I seen the kid's like, he's stout. He can run people over, but he can also catch out of the backfield. So as a third option, he's great. Like
you got this guy who can't block.
Right.
Sitting in the backfield who can't block. So he's not sitting back there and pass blocking. They're running the ball.
But he's got great hands and he can run like a receiver or something like that.
So that kind of like kind of tips your hat, I guess. Tips your hand and saying, okay, well, this guy's in the game. Either they're gonna run a fake and they're gonna have to throw the ball quick because he can't block, or it's a run.
Right.
So
they got Coach of the Year is going to Sean McVay. Which I can't really argue, but I
can't argue with that.
I mean, the other guys on there were Mike Zimmer, Doug Marrone. I think Doug Marrone should have got more votes than probably Mike Zimmer.
Boo.
Doug Peterson and Bill Belichick only got one vote each, and they're the ones in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I probably would have went with Peterson myself.
Yeah, I probably would have went with Peterson.
McVay did a great job, and
especially if voting was done at the end of the regular season, and Foles came in for those 4 or 5 games, and they still kind of kept things going. I know Foles had a kind of mediocre last 2 games of the regular season, but the game he came in for Wentz, and then the next game in the regular season, he was great. And then he had a couple mediocre games there at the end of the year when, honestly, you've already clinched
the loss.
You need.
He started against the Cowboys but didn't finish the game. I mean, it was it 9-6 or it wasn't even, there wasn't fucking many points on the board. They had no reason to play the game. Didn't matter if they won or lost. To hold that against them
that's
is
the thing. That's what I'm saying. Is like the 2 games.
He went 2-1 in his in the 3 games he did start.
The 1 or 2 games at the very end of the year that he started where he wasn't that great. It was we're locked up in the playoffs. We're good. Let's kind of try a few things and experiment here and see what's going on. Try some things in the playbook. And
I'm surprised McDermott's not on his list.
McDermott was.
You
know what probably prevented that was the whole Peterman thing against the Chargers. I bet you anybody who would nominate him for that award or vote for him probably saw that and were like, we can't even consider him over McVay or Peterson.
Yeah, because they don't even blame. He doesn't even blame the GM for that. He took that all on himself.
Yeah.
He's the one that made the call. So yeah, that was a pretty shitty call. And the fact that he says he would do it again if given the chance.
You take that one game.
That was dumb.
Yeah, it was very dumb. You take that one game out of the whole year, then McDermott, his reputation would be a lot better as far as coach of the year.
He did bring the Bills to the playoffs.
Oh yeah. Oh, he had a great year coaching the team.
That's huge right
there. And again with the receiver core and just LaShawn McCoy at running back and Mike Tolbert.
Mm-hmm. And they had their fair share of injuries.
They had a guy running the ball in the playoffs that I had not heard of until the week before. And I'm a diehard Bills fan. Murphy.
That's about every year for the Bears. Because everyone's so hurt and
doing what he did with that team
lineman
this
just
year.
got a sack?
Doing what he did with that team this year, he did a great coaching job. He really did, except for that one game and that weird decision that happened, and it just blew up in his face. And that he kind of became a laughing stock for a week or two, and then the Bills kind of got their shit together at the end of the year and got some help and. Yeah, he did a great job, and I'm excited to see what he can do going forward for sure. I think he's a great coach.
Dave Bandage said change of pace back is the new popular term that they use, which I like that term because
that's been going on since Thunder and Lightning back in the old Giants days. You know, I mean,
Dave wants to talk about Hugh Jackson and his 1-31 record too. It looks like.
Who? Assistant coach of the year, Pat Schumer.
Yeah, who's now the Giants head coach.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I could have picked some better. You know, like the defensive coordinator for the Rams, maybe. I mean, they had a stout defense this year. I don't know. Like
at the same time, you know what Shermer did with Casey.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, that's impressive. What he did with that offense, and
I know, but his defense was number one in the league.
Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So to put that on, to give him offensive,
maybe Vikings defensive
coordinator, I'd be more willing to give it to.
Right,
you know?
Absolutely, yeah. Comeback player of the year, Keenan Allen.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with that, I guess.
No, not really. Walter Payton,
had a pretty good year.
Man of the Year award goes to J.J. Watt.
Yeah, that's no brainer. No brainer.
Yep, he deserved it. Raised over $37 million for hurricane relief.
And all he had to do was just create a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Well, he did more than that though.
10 minutes later,
he also got hurt.
He went out and actually challenged other owners and players to donate.
Right. Yeah, he kind of made it a public. Public challenge to other people to, hey, you guys need to start stepping up your game here and start donating some money to these people.
Which I love the Walter Payton Man of the Year award because it shows the positivity that's going on in the NFL.
It's one of the awards I actually do pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it because go ahead.
Just because it's Walter Payton. I mean, who he was, he was. Other than Catholic school, he was that moral compass as a kid to me, who I wanted to be. So, it is one of the awards I definitely pay attention to. And congrats, J.J. Watt. Thank you. Really.
And all the, candidates.
Greg Olsen. Some of the guys there, I'm like, oh, my God, these guys dedicate a shit
Anybody
ton
who
of
was
time.
Even considered for that, thank you guys. I mean,
Agreed.
How about Chris Long? Was Chris Long nominated for that?
It doesn't
year
tell me.
Chris Long
his year salary,
donated his entire salary for this season to some charity. I forget what it is. I don't remember, but that's amazing. He played for free, and then he ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's awesome.
So does that bonus check go to?
It should.
I think it's great because we forget at the end of the day, these guys are playing a sport.
Right.
They're playing a sport.
Give back to your community.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting paid millions of dollars for playing a sport, something that we've all played growing up, you know what I mean? And you can give back.
I just want to go over the Hall of Fame class, too. It's been announced Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Brian Dawkins, Brian Urlacher, Jeremy Kramer, Robert Brazil, and Bobby Beathard. I don't really have a problem with this list. I thought John Lynch would have gotten in.
Yeah, last time I was on the show, I remember kind of.
I'm surprised
pro
Kevin
John
Lynch.
Terrell Owens is the only one that I'm still.
Only because
his
an attitude.
stats are up there though.
I cannot. No, he's got records.
Right.
So and this isn't his. It's not his first time in. He's so.
I'm really glad.
Yes.
I'm really glad that
Congrats.
Urlacher went in with Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Usually they don't. It's his first time two linebackers went in.
Right.
And also two wide receivers. Usually they try to go in by position.
And that's why I was saying last time I was on the show that there has to be one of those linemen that are going to make it. And I thought maybe Kevin Mawai.
I thought so too. That's what I was worried about Brian making it.
And honestly, I'm not opposed to it at all. But I just figured based on the patterns of voting over the years, it's going to be okay. I'm going to have to pick a lineman, and that's going to be my lineman. And then I'm going to pick one receiver, and that's going to be my receiver. And then I'll name, fill out the rest of the three guys, John Lynch, Urlacher, and Lewis, I think is what I said. And I actually like that they kind of deviated from that whole, I do too. We got to kind of put one guy, spread it out a little bit, and just do two receivers, two linebackers, and Dawkins. And Caleb, I know, had been talking about Dawkins for weeks.
And Dawkins was a hard hitter, man.
Yeah,
that guy was
and he deserves it. And he deserves
football player. Yeah, I mean these guys. I would take any of these guys on my team except for Owens. As good as he was a locker room cancer.
Agreed. You don't need Owens if you got Moss.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
Randy Moss transcended what
they'd fight with each other in the locker room.
They would.
Randy Moss just like created.
Be
a whole
Randy
new
Moss
wide
and
receiver
Deontay
position.
Thompson.
I'll take it. Moss just killed people for years. Well, so did Lewis, but I hate that because he really wasn't even.
I
up
know
for
he
murder.
didn't do it.
That was just a hiccup.
It really is a killer Hall of Fame
I mean,
class.
Randy-
this year.
Randy Moss got in trouble. It was like, "Ear." Remember when he passed the blunt and got
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'll
he's
smoke
another
it.
one that was hitting people.
He
with
hit a
his
ticket.
car.
Yeah,
He hit a ticket.
he hit a meter maid or whatever her name.
Yeah,
Was.
that he kept going. I think.
Yeah, he kept driving. The blunt going in the back seat.
Probably called Marshawn Lynch.
But yeah, we're gonna have to get ready to close out of here. I just want to bring this back up here. So everyone gets
Yeah.
There's the co-host.
And Dave brought up a good point. When are we going to have the new baseline?
The baseline's coming soon. We don't have a set date for it, but we're looking at early March. JP, Schofield, and myself are going to be getting the baseball talk going
the
here.
Schofield kid?
Yeah, that's Schofield kid. We're going to be getting the baseball talk going here on Disruption Networks, and that's not far off. So more details are coming soon for sure. So we're excited about it for sure.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm glad that you guys are doing that too, man. Like
Yeah.
this town is, baseball starved, and
I'm really excited about it, and we'll get Caleb involved and get him on it too, because I know he's
What's
kind of
Caleb know about
he's
baseball?
kind of itching
Dude,
to talk.
he's a baseball fucking scout.
I know.
All
I
right. I'm like, yeah, it's hard to fucking believe, but the guy actually does something. It's
Right.
weird.
I know something like kind of smart.
Yeah, right.
But also plug your where you're playing again.
Oh yeah, back Crazy
Crazy
Fools
Fools.
are playing March 3rd, Delta Lake Inn in out in Rome.
I'm here
on-
for the gangbang.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of Jameson there, I'll tell you that. Playing
Jameson?
Jameson night at the Delta Lake Inn on March 3rd. Night of the Heart Walk. So do the Heart Walk in the morning and rest up a little bit, sober up in the afternoon, and head out to Rome and get some food and have some drinks and listen to some tunes.
Do you guys play during the Heart Walk, or do you actually do the walk?
Heart Walk, I usually do the walk, yeah. We haven't played during that. We play at the Boilermaker every single year, and we've done that for 12 years straight, I think. But Heart Walk we participate in, and we walk, at least I walk for Team O'Neill, and kind of walk with some of the other guys that walk for other causes. Team Hauk.
Yep.
I know your Team Tiffany.
Well, this year we're gonna do the Disruption.
Do
We
Team
are
Disruption
we are
this
gonna
year,
do Disruption.
and it's all for the same cause, no matter what your team is,
Absolutely.
and it's a fun event, man.
I love it. We do it every year, and it's so much fun. And it's cold as shit.
It is, but
those beers
it's
keep
so
you warm.
fun. It is, and it's fun seeing
And
I
the free beer in the gym afterwards? Yeah.
yeah, I think they have hot dogs too.
Oh, he likes the hot dogs.
Hey, I was going to say, I don't know anything about that.
He likes, he likes the frozen ones.
They have those in the back cooler, waiting for you, Sil.
Awesome. Thanks for filling in for Caleb. And,
Yeah, it was fun, guys. Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
Greg.
Son of a bitch.
Thanks for coming in, dude. We had a great time at your house, man, for Super Bowl.
Thank you for holding
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah,
No
that
problem,
was
man.
awesome, bro.
Anytime.
Even though your team, got
Tanked.
beat, and your
We
son,
didn't tank. We just got beat.
and your son harassed the living shit out of you the entire
know.
time.
How did you not beat him across the face?
He was so annoying. I
Oh.
wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him.
Dude. Let's go!
I know.
Let's go!
It was a 2-yard run. He's like, let's go!
After every single pass interference, pass
Yeah.
interference. I'm like, dude. chill.
I know. He was annoying everybody, but I chalked it up to this. That's his one time that he can get at his dad.
Right.
Illegal in front of his friends. He could just yell at me. So he lived it up. So
Well, tell him what you were saying. He was watching the video.
Yeah,
and
I was actually watching the video, and I said, hey, and I had met you before today, Greg, and I said I was watching your guys your live videos at the end of the Super Bowl there, and I just saw that kid go up next to the Patriots fan. He's all like.
yeah.
Drinking his beer, and looking at you, and I was just like, wow, this is the first time I have ever felt sorry for a Patriots. It didn't last long, though, Greg. Go Eagles.
But yeah, that was great, man. We had an awesome time. We had pulled pork, a full turkey
ice cream stand,
Yeah, ice cream, yeah.
station,
Mac and cheese,
meatball
meatballs,
subs.
subs. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we ate like fat pigs.
I loved it.
It was great. I
Mac
loved
and
it.
cheese. You said mac and cheese.
And
Yeah.
that's what you're
Chicken.
supposed to do with Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you. This has been a D-line. Silberth, Greg, and Caleb number 2. Sean Gaffney. Who
Hey, I'm not a Jets fan though.
AFC East.
That's
though.
what was missing.
AFC East fan over here. This is the AFC East seat.
Hey, always a pleasure, man.
Go check out Crazy Fools March 3rd at Delta Lake Inn. And we are out of here. See
Have a
you
good
guys
weekend.
later.
Times, guys.
out.
I'll see you soon.
Go Patriots.
He's playing it.